Ladies and gentlemen, it is Wednesday, November 5th, 2025, and here's what's coming up on the Owen Report today. Well, it's a very light news day because we are going to get into last night's election results, what they represent, and then where we go from here. Now, we do have some stories. There are some developments out of the White House today of the response to last night's major defeat. And then there's some other topical issues that are coming up, like a Supreme Court decision, which we are expecting to have on Friday, regarding Trump's tariffs, which will be a major indicator of the success of the Trump agenda on tariffs. We also have Pam Bondi under more heat today. When John Solomon is calling you out, you got problems. And I'll explain why that is the case. But we're going to look at last night's results. We're going to look at the response. And we're going to tell you what's really going on. Now, if you've been trying to find answers, if you've been trying to figure it out, if you've been trying to make sense of it all, there's just not many people out there on the right that are being honest about what happened last night. And there could be reasons, there could be multiple reasons for this. They either don't want to be honest about what happened last night because that would hurt their own agenda or their own ego. Maybe they can't be honest about what happened last night because they just don't even know. They don't even understand it because they don't live in reality. But we're going to look at all of it. We're going to look at all of it. And it's the blame game today. It's the crash out. It's the blame game. But really, the American right, probably more aptly to say, the Republican Party and the loyalists are to blame. That's who's to blame. And when we call out these issues and we tell it like it is, the loyalists, the Republicans, the cultists attack us, and then they get stunned when they can't win an election without us, and they get stunned that everything we say is true and they deny it, and then it's the left now. I mean, it really is just like the left. The woke right is a real thing. It's just like the woke left. They're lost in a world that doesn't exist. They can't accept any blame, any accountability. They don't understand action, reaction. They don't understand choice, consequence. And so they're flailing today. And they're going to lose everything because everything woke turns to shit. And now the right wing has gone woke.
This news update was brought to you by OwenSchroyer.store, the official site for Owen Report merchandise.
Navigating between the sane and insane, it's the Owen Report with Owen Schroyer.
How are we doing today? How are we doing today? Things are pretty crazy in the political world, are they not? Seems to be a lot of confusion on the right wing today. But of course, there's confusion because there's ignorance, because there's denial, Ignorance and denial leads to confusion. And then confusion leads to anger. And then anger leads to hate. Right. Are confused today. And they don't understand what happened, and they're flailing around, and they're crashing out, and they're trying to find out who to blame and what to blame. It's because they're ignorant. It's because they're blind. And the people that have been trying to show them the light, and the people that have been trying to show them the way and inform them so that this wouldn't happen, they rejected. They attacked. They tried to destroy. They said, we don't need you. So it was like, okay, fine. You're on your own. Good luck. You're probably going to lose all the elections now. No way. We'll be better off without you. Well, it's ironic now. You said you'd be better off without us, and now you've taken a massive election defeat. You could argue it actually one of the worst defeats ever. You could really argue that, and I'll make that case. And now all of a sudden they're blaming us. So the people they said they didn't need, the people that they pushed out of the party and said, we don't want you anymore, somehow they're the ones getting the blame for this. That's like if a professional football team trades their quarterback and then they never win another game, and then they blame the quarterback that they traded who's not even playing for them anymore. That's what this is like. You're blaming a quarterback that you traded. You're blaming a player that you cut from the team. You're blaming players that you cut from the roster. You're blaming guys that you didn't want on your team, that you told to get off the team, and you cut from the roster. They're not even on the team. They're not even in the clubhouse with you anymore. You kicked them all out. You said you don't need them. You said you don't want them. And now you're losing all the games, and you're blaming the very people you cut from the roster that brought you the victories. It's ironic, but that's the truth. But we were never confused. We were never bamboozled. We saw all of this coming. Now I'm gonna lay into all of this. I'm gonna explain last night and everything else, how it went down. But I want to play this clip. This was my sign off yesterday. If you weren't with us yesterday on the show, we missed you, but glad to have you here today. So in case you missed my sign off yesterday, this was my sign off yesterday before a single vote was tallied. Here's what I said. If the Democrats win the three big elections tonight, Mamdani, and then the governor's race in Virginia and in New Jersey, you're going to see major crashing out from the right. And they're going to point the finger at everybody but themselves. And you're going to see disgusting attacks on Sliwa. I'm already seeing it. You're going to see people try to destroy Sliwa's wife. These people are despicable. And then for the losses in New Jersey and Virginia, they're going to blame everybody on the right that they decided to kick out of the right. They're going to blame everybody but themselves. So this is going to get nasty, folks. This is going to get nasty. Man, honestly, I think the Democrats are going to sweep it. I think they're going to sweep it. If the Democrats win the... So, there you go. Everything I said there turned out to be 100% correct. Now, I've got DMT working on a clip from yesterday's show where I actually said Mamdani's going to get 51% of the vote. He's going to get a simple majority. So all these people claiming that, you know, Sliwa Cuomo combo could beat him, that they're going to be proven wrong too, because he's going to get a simple majority. I even said 51%. I literally said 51%. Mamdani got 51% of the vote. We've got DMT working on bringing that clip. We'll probably have it by the end of the show. But you know what? Since we're doing a little Never Doubt Me folks lap here. We're doing a little Never Doubt Me folks lap. Let's just go ahead and add another lap to this. This was June. And this was really when the whole kind of major fallout, major divide started happening where true MAGA, original MAGA, America first, we were saying, hey, let's not get drug into another foreign policy disaster. Let's not get back into the Middle East. We got issues we need to deal with at home. We got economy issues. We got all these issues. And then here we were going right back into the Middle East. And you may recall there was a certain segment of the right wing that was celebrating this, saying this was a great victory. And then there were the people saying this is a disaster. I can't believe we're doing this. And that was really, you might have sensed that there was already kind of some tensions and maybe some potential for division, but then that was it. That's when the fork in the road happened. And there was basically the, hey, let's get right back into disastrous foreign policy versus, hey, that's a big mistake. Okay, the rest is history. So you may recall that, and the people that were celebrating that and the people that were upset about that. That was in June. Here's what I said in June. Congrats to the newcomer MAGA grifters who are celebrating another war. You won. Enjoy your celebration for what you think is a win, but prepare for the 6-year hangover. Dems will win midterms and 2028. You'll have more socialism and radical Islam in the West than ever. Congrats. Now, what are they complaining about today? And remember, they called us panicans. I was called a panican for this post right here. I was called a panican, even though this has so far been 100% correct. Hope it doesn't turn out to be 100% correct, because that would suck for all of us. But so far, it's been 100% correct. And now everybody else is saying exactly what I said in June. Now they're all saying it. The same people that attacked me, the same people that called me a panican, now they're all saying the exact same thing that I said. And now they're complaining about radical Islam, and they're complaining about socialism. I tried to warn you in June, but you didn't listen. Tried to warn you last night. You didn't listen. Tried to warn you this summer about Mamdani winning. You didn't listen. Tried to warn you that getting involved in this foreign policy again would be a disaster and destroy MAGA. You didn't listen. Will you ever listen? I don't know. But to those that do listen, there's a reason why. So yeah, it's a little never doubt me folks moment here, but we'll step off the ego trip for a second. We are going to get the clip from DMT, though, where I actually even predicted 51%. I said Mamdani would get 51%, so it won't even matter. And he got 51% exactly. But I brought the receipts. I've got all the receipts, dozens of receipts here. And I'm going to show you, just as I predicted, that the people on the right are going to blame everybody. They're going to start pointing at everybody, blaming everybody, crashing out, attacking Sliwa viciously. I'm going to bring the receipts to add even more volume to what I signed off with last night. But let me make this argument before we get into that, and we'll hit a couple headlines before we bring the receipts. Let me explain how bad last night actually was. And I already see the people that are coping with this and trying to deny it, because really that's them admitting it's their fault. That's them accepting the blame, but they can't, so they deflect and they blame everybody else. But the people that are saying, oh, it's not that bad, it's a couple blue states. No, folks, last night was really bad. I would actually say last night was probably the worst thing we've seen for the Republican Party since maybe 2008. You could argue the stolen election of 2020, but that was just bad for the country. For just strictly Republican Party politics, last night was maybe the worst night that they've had since 2008. I think it is. I think it's the worst election results that the Republican Party has seen since 2008. And anybody that is denying this and anybody that doesn't understand this, again, they're just not paying attention. And notice it's the same people that are trying to act like last night wasn't that bad. Those are the same people that are shocked that it's even happening. So you'd think at some point they'd realize that they really have no clue. You'd think at some point they'd realize that they really don't have their finger on the pulse. And I know I've talked about this a lot. And so let me give me a minute here to just kind of re-emphasize this, because it's so obvious. It's never been more obvious. I don't understand what goes on with these people on the right. I think the best conclusion I can reach is that they just have no social life. They just have no friends. They have no social life. I don't know if they're chronically online. I don't know if they're chronically alone. I don't know if they just exist in some political bubble. I don't know. Maybe they just hide in a closet all day. I don't know. I don't know what they do, but they don't live in reality. I'll tell you that. And as if it wasn't obvious enough that they don't live in reality, or they don't have a social life, or they don't have friends, their response last night and today is just the total proof. It's just the total proof. I'll give one example that is just topical today. I'll give one example. And when we get into all the receipts, you'll see this. But you see all these people talking about Nick Fuentes today and blaming Nick Fuentes today. Well, I got news for you. I talk to people all day. All day I talk to people. I exist in a few social circles. I exist in a few social worlds even. I have a social life in Austin, a relatively normal one, you might say. I talk to people a lot, not political people, not even necessarily people on the left or the right, just Americans, just normal Americans that represent probably 90% of the Americans' heart, mind, and soul. This is who I talk to. And you want to know something I never hear? You want to know what never gets brought up ever when people talk politics with me? Nick Fuentes. Never gets brought up. So you can sit here and try to blame Nick, or anybody for that matter. You can try to blame your scapegoat. You can try to blame everybody but yourself. But I'm telling you right now, if you think Nick Fuentes is a political issue that Americans care about, you're lost in a world that doesn't exist. You have no clue what Americans think about. You have no clue what Americans talk about. I reached the conclusion. You don't have any friends. You don't have any social life. You have no idea what the average American is talking about or thinking about or where they're at politically. You have no clue. If you think Nick Fuentes is what an American is thinking about politically, then you have no clue. And I might go as far as to say, and maybe it's time to coin the phrase, I think you have Fuentes derangement syndrome. I think there's something wrong with you. I don't know what it is. I don't know why this issue, this personality, this individual occupies so much space in your mind, occupies so much space in your politics. But I'm telling you right now, when I talk to Americans, exactly 0 of them bring up Nick Fuentes. Okay? Now, they might know who he is. They might not. I don't know. It's not a political issue. It's not. So I can tell you what they do talk about. They talk about the economy. They talk about health care. They talk about the Epstein list. They talk about foreign policy. They talk about education. They talk about health issues. Maha. This is what the average American talks about, from the left and the right, mind you. So I don't know this thing you have where you're obsessed with Fuentes and you think people care that much about Nick Fuentes, which ironically enough, you're just making him bigger than ever. That's all you're doing. The more air you pump into him, the more gas you throw on his fire, the bigger he's going to get. So if Nick Fuentes does become a massive political force, once again, you have no one to blame but yourself. Because people aren't talking about him. So, same thing. Candace Owens, Tucker Carlson. It's like, what do you think Americans are talking about? What do you think Americans are thinking about? You obviously have no idea. Now, I am curious. I do intend to open up phone lines in the second hour today, and I will hear from you. That's another way I hear from Americans. It's like, this is what I'm saying. I mean, I think I have a pretty normal social life. I don't have the most active social life. Pretty much past, when I finish my day, I don't necessarily go out. I might go out to dinner. But I mean, I go to I live in Austin, Texas, pretty big city, a lot of stuff to do. Go out to breakfast, talk to people there. There's normal, the normal people there, the normies that go to the bar, the breakfast bar, the diner, the people that work there. I talk to them. We have conversations. I go to the gym. I go to the cafe. I talk to people. I get recognized. We have conversations. I go to lunch. I go to dinner. I go to concerts. I go to ball games. I sit in boxes. I talk to normal Americans. Not political people, normal Americans. And a lot of those conversations are reflected in what I do here. But what I've come to find out is that most Americans think and talk like I do. And they feel the same way about most of the issues as I do. So it's like I'm sitting here and I'm watching these people freak out on X, obsessed. They have this Fuentes derangement syndrome. They have this Carlson derangement syndrome. They have this Candace Owens derangement syndrome. And I'm telling you, nobody's talking about them except you. Now, let's do full spectrum analysis here. Does Nick Fuentes have a big audience? Yes. Does Tucker Carlson have a big audience? Yes. Does Candace Owens have a big audience? Yes. And ironically enough, it's bigger now. Their audiences are bigger now than all the people that used to be the establishment. All the people that thought they had the biggest audiences, they don't have a big audience anymore. I'm not sure if they have any audience anymore. So maybe it's jealousy. Maybe this derangement syndrome is jealousy. But outside of the people that just follow political news, outside of the people that are just embedded in politics day to day, that know who Tucker and Candace and Fuentes are, nobody's talking about them. It is not a political issue. And if you think for 1 second, let's just boil it down and I'll move on. If you think for 1 second that Nick Fuentes has more of a negative impact on Republican voter turnout than our foreign policy does, then you live in delusion land. You have no clue what you're talking about. You really don't pay attention to anything relevant. You don't have conversations with anybody outside of the political world. You're lost in a world that doesn't exist. If you believe Nick Fuentes has more of a negative impact on Republican Party politics or voter turnout, then you're a moron. You are an ignoramus. Go out and talk to people. Find out what they say. 9 out of 10 people will talk about foreign policy and how they don't like what Republicans or specifically what Trump is doing with foreign policy. We all know what that means. 9 out of 10 people will say that. 0 out of 10 will say anything about Nick Fuentes. That's the truth. And you have no idea how dumb you're making yourself look. You have no idea how ignorant you're making yourself sound when you make this whole thing about internet personalities that 9 out of 10 Americans you talk to probably don't even know who they are. But they do see all their politicians going to a foreign country, waving a foreign flag, more foreign aid. They do see that. They do bring that up. They do have an issue with that. But you bring up these names that you're obsessed with, they shrug their shoulders. They're indifferent. That's the fact. And I would argue last night was the worst night for Republican Party politics since 2008. And you could say, well, that sounds extreme. And you could say, well, this is like a special election. It's an off year. What can you possibly be talking about? Well, folks, I don't think you really realize how bad last night was. Let me ask you a question. Do you know any Republicans that won last night? Can you name one? Can you name a single Republican that won an election last night? There were dozens of elections. Can you name one? You know, I looked into it. How many Republicans actually won significant elections? We're not talking about super local elections. I mean, some city, some state, but significant elections. Do you know how many Republicans actually won last night? Do you know what their actual percentage of victory was last night? One Republican won an election last night, folks. One. It was in Bloomington, Illinois. It's your only Republican victory last night. A small race in a small city in central Illinois, Bloomington Normal. One Republican won an election last night. One. And then you see this excuse making. It was just blue states. It was just Democrat areas. No, it wasn't. Democrats just took seats and majorities in Mississippi that they haven't had in decades. Mississippi. Democrats just flipped seats in Georgia that they haven't flipped or held in decades. Democrats just flipped red areas that Trump won in Pennsylvania. And by the way, in New Jersey and in Virginia, Republican voter turnout was down. Don't underestimate what last night represents, folks. This was the worst night for Republican Party politics since 2008. One significant victory to speak of last night. Every other race, they either lost big and had voter turnout down. And Democrats won seats and flipped majorities in states that they haven't had in decades. This wasn't a blue thing. This is the worst night for Republican Party politics since 2008. Now, there's probably a bunch of different variables that lead to this. Trump not being on the ballot certainly hurt Republicans. I think that's undeniable. That's clear. But Trump's never going to be on the ballot again. And Trump can't carry the Republican Party across the finish line. This is a referendum on the Republican Party at large. This is a referendum on Republican Party politics and, most importantly, Republican Party foreign policy. This is your biggest disaster. And you can deny it, but it's only going to continue to result in election losses. The longer you deny it, the longer you're going to sit here and watch L's stack up. You're in total denial. It also doesn't help, and this might be the number one issue, that the economy sucks. And you might be able to get away with the bad economy, but when you keep telling people that it's the greatest economy ever, you know what they do? They say, fuck you, I'm not voting, you lying scumbag. We warned about this. We predicted this. And we were attacked and thrown out of the party. And what do you know? We were right about everything. What do you know? This was from the AP today. Voters prioritize the economy above immigration and crime in election 2025. AP voter poll finds. So the signs are all around you that the economy is bad, folks. The signs are all around you that the economy is bad. And no amount of saying it's great and saying we're in the golden age and telling me about the stock market and 401ks and all this other crap, none of that is going to change the fact that the economy sucks and that the average American feels that the economy is really bad and getting worse and going in the wrong direction. So if you want to look at it from an issues-based conversation, put away your petty issues that you have with different personalities and different political commentators, because that's irrelevant. The two issues that Republicans lost on and will continue to lose on are the economy and foreign policy. That's it. The economy and foreign policy, Republicans are getting an F. And that's why last night they got a big FU from American voters. Now, the only thing that could maybe overwhelm this, the only thing that could maybe break this would be if this administration was actually delivering on the things that Americans want. If this administration delivered on the Epstein list and Epstein client pedophile arrests, if this administration delivered on DOJ and DOJ cuts and audits of all the waste, fraud, and abuse, if this administration delivered on no new wars, if this administration delivered on no more foreign aid, you can go on and on and on. If they would have delivered with that stuff, then maybe you could overwhelm the issues people have with the economy. Maybe you could overwhelm the issues people have with foreign policy. But you didn't do the things that matter. You prioritized a foreign country. Everybody saw it, so they're done. They're done. And watching Republicans deny this is only going to make it worse. And they're denying it. They're making all the excuses. They're blaming everybody but themselves. Yeah, you know what? It doesn't really sit well with Americans when you've given out $100 billion in foreign aid and the average American is wondering if they're going to have $100 extra in their bank account to put into savings at the end of the month. Doesn't really work. Doesn't really lead to political victories. Again, I think you could have overwhelmed the system with Epstein arrests, deep state arrests, DOJ audits and arrests. There were things that you could have done that would have been actual change agent activities and actions and results, but you did none of them. You did none of them. Everybody knows what happened. You prioritized a foreign country, told the American people to get over it, you're doing fine, and you just got shellacked. And I would argue it was the worst night in Republican Party politics history since 2008. And anybody telling you otherwise is not being honest, or they just don't live in reality. So let's look at the excuse making. As we predicted, we opened the show with the clip. Should we play it one more time just to really show you? Let me play it one more time yesterday. This was my sign off yesterday. If you were with us, you remember, but if not, we missed you, and I want to make sure that you see this. So I'm about to bring the receipts. This was my sign off yesterday, and now I'm going to bring the receipts of the total proof. If the Democrats win the three big elections tonight, Mamdani, and then the governor's race in Virginia and in New Jersey, you're going to see major crashing out from the right. And they're going to point the finger at everybody but themselves. And you're going to see disgusting attacks on Sliwa. I'm already seeing it. You're going to see people try to destroy Sliwa's wife. These people are despicable. And then for the losses in New Jersey and Virginia, they're going to blame everybody on the right that they decided to kick out of the right. They're going to blame everybody but themselves. So this is going to get nasty, folks. This is going to get nasty. Man, honestly, I think the Democrats are going to sweep it. I think they're going to sweep it. If the Democrats win the three big elections tonight. Well, I guess you could say I wasn't 100% right. The Republicans won one race out of about 40 last night. They were 1 for 40. So I guess the Democrats didn't get a full sweep, but no, that's why they call me the Babe Ruth of talk radio right there. And we're going to, and we've got the 51% clip too. Now the election results obviously speak for themselves. I wonder if I can, on Tuesday, November 4th, I'm saying Mamdani wins. I think he'll get just over a majority. I can't add this to this. I can't, I'm playing the audio. I can't add this to the screen right now. DMT might be able to later when we bring him on, but I can't add that. He just sent me this clip. I asked him to find it. So just listen to the audio. This was me yesterday. I predicted the exact percentage Mamdani would win with, just over a majority. I think it'll be barely, but I think maybe he finishes in around 51%. He got 51% of the vote. All right, we'll go back to that later. I can't pull that video up right now, but DMT probably can when we bring him on later. All right, so let's get into the receipts. You just saw me predict it. Obviously, the results speak for themselves, but now let's show you the crash out. Let's show you the response. Let's show you the denial. Let's show you the nasty. Let's show you what they've done to Sliwa. Here we go. This is going to be heavy, folks. I brought the receipts. Glenn Youngkin blames the shutdown for GOP's election night defeat. Folks, today was bad. Now, think about it like this. Trump also came out and blamed the shutdown. These are the same Republicans. By the way, today's the record shutdown. Hey, we didn't even, how about that? Record government shutdown. Congratulations, guys. We made it. Now the Democrats might actually want to reopen this after their victories. That could be true, but who knows at this point? The whole thing is a mess. So the same Republicans for the last 30 days, the Republicans have been telling you that, oh, this is hurting the Democrats politically. The Democrats don't know what they're doing. Our approval ratings are up. Our poll numbers are up. The Democrats are down. They've been telling you that for 30 days about the shutdown. And what happened? Last night disproved everything. Last night blew up in their face. And now you have Trump, and you have the House Republicans, and you have Republican leadership, and you have Glenn Youngkin saying, oh, it's the shutdown. You guys just told us for 30 days the shutdown was hurting the Democrats. They just whooped your ass in the elections, and now you're blaming the shutdown. You guys are falling off so badly right now, it's really not even funny. And maybe it is actually to a degree funny because it's so comical. It's like a Three Stooges or like a Wile E. Coyote, running into a wall that's been painted by the Roadrunner. So I guess it does have kind of a comedy effect. But you just won't listen. We've been warning about this for months, and you wouldn't listen, and it all just blew up in your face, and you're still not listening, and you're blaming everybody but yourself. Let's try to speed through these as quickly as I possibly can. Melissa Tate, who I like, by the way. There's going to be a lot of my friends in here. I'll tell you that. But sorry, no one's safe when I'm slinging the truth. Embracing the racists on the Nick Fuentes wing of the right is going to chase off the conservative minority groups that had found a home in Trump's GOP. Yeah, nobody's talking about that. Literally nobody. You're not going to win elections with just white Christians, as Fuentes' movement is fooling you into believing. You just lost all the elections. What are you talking about? You're not going to win elections. You just lost all the elections. It's like, I'm sorry, where is the disconnect here? You literally just lost all elections. You just spent the majority of your political capital and energy in whatever is left of conservative social and cultural circles. You just spent all of your political capital trying to destroy Nick Fuentes and Tucker Carlson, and then you lost. We just tried it your way. You guys got your ass whooped. You got swept. You lost nearly every single election. You lost elections and seats in red states that hadn't been lost by Republicans in 25 years. Republicans lost races last night they hadn't lost since the turn of the 21st century. What do you mean you're not going to win elections? You just lost the election. You already lost. This isn't a, hey, we tried it your way and lost. This is a, hey, we tried it our way and lost, so it's your fault? And when did we win? Oh, that's right. We won in 2024 with a large coalition, with a big tent, diverse party of thought. We did win with that. And it's been since then that you guys decided to start gatekeeping. And it's been since then that you guys started to attack these personalities on the right that you have a foreign policy disagreement with, or maybe other issues, whatever, that we started losing. When we were all part of the coalition, we won the elections. Now that you guys are in charge and gatekeeping people out, now we're losing elections in historic fashion. Just bear with me as we go through this, because it's going to get a little off the wall with all these examples I have. Here's Laura Loomer. Never congratulate a jihadi. By the way, Bill Ackman congratulating Zoran Mamdani, by the way. Who saw that one coming? Mamdani wants you dead because you're Jewish and an American. You can't work with jihadis. Well, look, I'm not a fan of Mamdani. I'm not a fan of his politics, and I don't live in New York City. All right? But do you realize how outrageous and ridiculous this is? He wants you dead because you're Jewish. He campaigned with Jews. Do you realize there was an entire group of Orthodox Jews celebrating in New York City last night, celebrating Mamdani's victory? Do you realize that Jewish billionaires funded Mamdani, like Alex Soros? Do you realize Mamdani was campaigning with Jews and having lunch and breakfast and dinner with Jews on the campaign? Do you think he wanted them dead too? Every single person, well, actually in New York City, I don't know, but supposedly every single person that voted him is an American. Do you think he wants his voters dead too? You sound retarded. But okay, aside from that, I think I have another follow-up here. And there were dozens of these, by the way. Here's another one. Nick Fuentes fantasizes about executing American Jews en masse for being disloyal. Now you understand why I'm mad. All right. So again, everybody blaming Fuentes. Let me step aside from the raw politics of it here and actually get into the psychology. And I actually meant to do this later, but I pulled these up first. So let's just do it quickly. And I don't know if you're being genuine or not. I don't know. Maybe a lot of this is theatrics from these women. Maybe a lot of it is just theatrics and drama. They just can't help themselves. But let's take it at face value. And I think we can see there's a mass psychosis. It's trauma-based mind control. If you really have this psychology where you're walking around and you think everybody wants to kill you, do you realize how dangerous that mindset is? You are a completely unstable person. You have trauma-based mind control. You're essentially a paranoid schizophrenic. You see the problem here? We have a bunch of paranoid schizophrenics that have trauma-based mind control that are trying to run our political world. They're mentally disabled. Do you understand that? That's what we're talking about here. Oh, all these people want me dead. All these people want to kill me. Is that really your psychology? You need help. You're mentally disabled. You're mentally in disrepair. You're a paranoid schizophrenic. You have trauma-based mind control. You need help. But maybe that's really how they walk around. Maybe it's just drama. Maybe it's just women being dramatic. That wouldn't surprise anybody. But if that's your actual psychology, if that's actually how you walk around as a paranoid schizophrenic like that, then you have serious mental issues. You need help. Sorry, it's true. Is anybody telling you this, by the way? Do you really walk around in fear of everybody like a paranoid schizophrenic? So if that's the case, then I suggest maybe you need to examine either making personal changes in your life, geographical changes, whatever it is, but you're mentally in disrepair. You're a paranoid schizophrenic if you really walk around thinking everybody wants to kill you. And you certainly should not have any political influence when you're engaged in this level of trauma-based mind control and paranoid schizophrenia. Jamie Mitchell. Oh, let's blame Tucker Carlson. Andrea Schaefer. You all who supported Tucker Carlson, Candace Owens, and the Groyper Nick Fuentes are responsible for the Republican bloodbath tonight. Yeah. Yep, totally. That's what it is. That's what people were thinking. Awesome Jew. Is that my friend Adam King or not? It's a mystery. I don't know. Imagine if Tucker Carlson, Candace Owens, or even Patrick Bet David had featured Jack Citrielli on their podcasts. They could have saved New Jersey. Instead, they chose to feature Nick Fuentes. So let's just be clear about something here. Is Tucker Carlson a Republican in Congress? No. Does Tucker Carlson work for the RNC or the GOP? No. What about Candace Owens? No. What about Patrick Bet-David? No. What about Nick Fuentes? No. So that's strange. None of these people are Republicans in Congress. None of these people work for the Republican Party. All of these people have been attacked viciously for 3 months, told they're not welcome in the party, and now you're mad at them because they won't work with you? I'm sorry, I'm a little confused. Again, you guys are the ones that threw Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens and Nick Fuentes out and said, we don't want you anymore. And now you're mad at them because they won't work for you? David Friedman, to all the anti-Semites who hate Jews because they think Jews control American politics, we clearly don't, or we wouldn't have a radical communist Islamist as the mayor of our city. Again, Mamdani campaigned with Orthodox Jews. There were massive parties with Orthodox Jews in the streets last night celebrating his victory. Here's all kinds of headlines talking about the Jewish billionaires that funded him. Here's Alex Soros last night celebrating Mamdani's victory. So again, I'm not saying this proves Jews control anything. I'm just saying, do you even know what you're talking about? Did you even do any research before you made this statement? Clearly the answer is no. But again, where's the disconnect? This is a straw man argument. Just because I have a different opinion on foreign policy with you, and just because I don't like the United States of America supporting Israel financially and militarily, has nothing to do with Jews. Zero, zilch, nada. So you're either intentionally straw manning, or again, you just have no idea what you're talking about. This should be a lesson. Chaos, conspiracy, and cowardice is not very popular with voters. If we don't get serious, 2026 will be much worse. Oh, that's funny. We said that months ago. You called us panicans. Are you guys the panicans now? Are you the panicans now? Are you admitting we were right? No. We will lose elections until the actual Nazis, actual racists, actual misogynists, and actual authoritarians are vomited out of the right. I thought you already did that. And then you lost. We will lose until we make the left's worst accusations false again. I love this one from Abby Libby. Do you realize this is core woke ideology? For 8 years, really for 10 years, Republicans have been making fun of liberals who are fighting imaginary Nazis, imaginary racists, imaginary misogynists, imaginary authoritarians. We called them woke and we made fun of them, right? Now that's what the right is doing. Now the right is fighting imaginary Nazis. Now the right is fighting imaginary racists. The right is fighting imaginary misogynists. And before you go out, because I already know all your talking points. I already know how you respond to everything. And you'll go show some clips of things Nick Fuentes has said. Well, let's just put this into perspective. One, a lot of those things that Nick was saying, he was saying when he was a teenager. He was saying before he was even like 22 years old. I'm not making excuses, but come on. Let's just be real here. Not only do you do and say dumb things when you're young, but when you're young and when you're in media and you have a smaller platform, it's hard to even comprehend that someday that platform could be much bigger, that someday that platform could be something different. So Nick might be doing a stream where he says something racist or misogynic. Maybe he's joking, maybe he's not, whatever. But then you pull these clips and it's like, you understand that that's a 20-year-old guy broadcasting. I think he was in his parents' basement at the time. I'm not insulting the young man. He was 20. But it's just like, you understand you're trying to conflate two things here. And very few people can relate to this because it's a very rare phenomenon. I just so happen to be a person that can. it's hard to comprehend that when you're speaking on one platform, that platform you were speaking on could eventually be much bigger and much different. It's hard to comprehend that, especially when you're a young person in media. So obviously that's what happened with Nick. So I'm not endorsing any of the things he's saying. I'm not disavowing any of the things he's saying. But it's like you're just pulling clips from a young man on the internet. You're cherry picking old clips from a young guy on the internet. And you're not even taking into account that he's trolling you. He's baiting you because it's so easy. And you've left him no choice. What is he supposed to do? And here's another one that most people can't relate to. You know, eventually they call you a Nazi enough, you put on a mustache. You know what I mean? It just becomes funny. It becomes a game. So you play into it. It's like, all right, whatever. They keep calling me a Nazi. How do you like my mustache now? These people, they don't get any of this. They can't relate to any of this. All of this goes right over their mind. But shove it back aside. Everything the woke left did, we're fighting Nazis. We're fighting racists. We're fighting misogynists. We're fighting fascists. And we made fun of the left and we called them woke for 10 years for doing that. Now that's exactly what the right is doing. So I'm just curious then, is that the right admitting that the left was right? Is the right now admitting that the left was right and that there are a bunch of Nazis and racists and misogynists now that are Republicans? Are you admitting the left was right? Are you unifying with the left? Are you the horseshoe theory? Seems that would be what you're admitting to. Or are you just lying? Are you just LARPing? Are you just woke? Mark Levin. You know what? So here it is again. It's the same crap. Oh, we are fighting bigots, racists, anti-Semites. That's what destroyed the GOP. And we'll lose now in 26 and 28. Oh, man. So in other words, you're admitting we were right about everything? So in other words, you're admitting the Panikins were right about everything? Yeah. Sounds like that's what you're admitting. Time for the Republican Party to come together. Max Nordau. Of course, he doesn't mean that. Please send me videos of Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens promoting Republican candidates in New Jersey and Virginia so that I can repost them. Wow. Wow, dude. Wow. Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens that you attack viciously. And then you're surprised that they won't work with you. I know. It's like, who could have figured that? And again, Tucker and Candace, they don't work in the GOP. They don't work in the RNC. They're not Republicans in Congress. It's not their job. This is like blaming the baby for not changing a diaper. This is like blaming a newborn baby for not changing their diaper and then taking the diaper bag to the trash. You damn baby. Look at this baby. Poops in his diaper and then won't even take it to the trash. My God. That's what this is like. I don't understand why this baby can't clean his own mess. I don't understand why this infant can't take the trash out. The hell's wrong with this baby? Will Chamberlain. Where was the Tucker interview of Jack Chitterelli? Yeah, why didn't this baby take its trash out? Why didn't this baby make its own bottle? Mark Levin had him on, so did several others. Tucker and Candace were too busy trying to destroy the right with ideological subversion and various conspiracies. And then Ebenezer weighs in and actually gets it right. It's funny how some people have logic and some people are just brainwashed. Wow, guess Mark Levin doesn't matter to the voters at all. Bingo! And by the way, again, neither does Candace, neither does Tucker. These are commentators. Now, you could argue that they could move their audience to vote or they could move their audience to vote for an individual. I'm not denying that's a reality. Of course, that's a phenomenon. But let's not sit here and act like that was the make or break for last night. Stop it. And let's not act like Candace and Tucker owe anybody on the right anything, especially after how you've tried to viciously destroy them for the last 3 months. But again, think about the logic of it. So they say, we don't need Tucker. We don't need Candace. We have to purge them. They have to be gone. And then out of the other side of the mouth, they say, we need Tucker and Candace to help get our people across the finish line. Like, do you guys even listen to yourselves? Honestly, do you guys have any logic at all? Or is it all just reactionary? Is it all just emotional? You're like women. You're like emotional PMSing women. Sorry to the women out there. Guess I'm a misogynist now. No, you guys are like emotional, brainwashed women. We don't need Tucker. Damn it, Tucker, we needed you. Which one is it? Make up your mind. Do you need Tucker or do you want to purge Tucker? We need to purge Tucker. Okay, you want to purge Tucker. Damn it, why didn't Tucker help us win? We needed you, Tucker. Which one is it? Do you need to purge us or do you need us to help you? Make up your damn minds. And how did that go? How did that go with Mark Levin? Didn't go so well, huh? You know who? I mean, look, I talk politics. Some people will bring up Tucker. Some people will bring up Candace. Some people will bring up Fuentes. It's a minor thing. It's just people that might listen to political talk or see some stories. But I will say, nobody cares who Mark Levin is. Mark Levin is about as useless now in the political commentary world. He's a nothing. He's a zero. It goes on. I will never forgive Curtis Sliwa, Ellie Konamine. She's a special envoy. She works for the U.S. government to combat anti-Semitism. Stunning. I will never forgive Curtis Sliwa. From the beginning, he campaigned against Cuomo instead of Mamdani. It's just a straight up lie. He knew he was a spoiler and he refused to bow out like Eric Adams did. I never want to see a stupid red beret on his face ever again. Do you realize how broken you are? Do you realize how in denial you are? If you think this is on Curtis Sliwa and you're blaming Curtis Sliwa, you are a broken person. You are a sad person. You are in total and complete denial if you think this is Curtis Sliwa's fault. And after the treatment of Curtis Sliwa, if you think anybody wants to run as a Republican ever again, you've got to be fooling yourself. Think about it. Look at what the right wing has done. I could get into my personal stories, but I'll leave my personal stories out of this. But let me just tell you, I know this firsthand. Look at how nasty the American right has become. Look at how despicable the American right has become. Look at how entitled and petulant the American right has become. Look at how they're treating Curtis Sliwa. Now, you could talk about, look at how they treat Tucker or Candace or Fuentes, but whatever. Those are commentators. You wade into that world politically. You're getting into the heat. You're getting into the arena. So I'll even say that that's fair game. Do you think that anybody that has a fighting spirit, do you think that anybody that might be cool, might be popular, might have some charisma, do you think any of them are ever going to want to run as a Republican ever again after seeing what you've done to Curtis Sliwa? How do you think that impacts others that might think about running for office as a Republican? Specifically, the people that might be brave enough to run as a Republican in a Democrat district like New York. And now they see what you've done to Curtis Sliwa. They see how you treat Curtis Sliwa. You think that they're going to want to run? You guys are despicable. You guys are the biggest assholes in politics now. You're bigger assholes than the left. So yeah, people out there that might be able to run and win, that have some charisma, have some popularity, have some fight in them, after seeing how you've treated Curtis Sliwa, they will never run. They will never even think about running as a Republican because of you jerks. And you'll say, fine, we don't need you. Fine. Then you don't need to win elections, I guess, either. What Curtis Sliwa did is disgraceful. Isabella DeLuca. Whatever legacy he thought he had died tonight. People will remember him as the dude in the red beret who split the vote and handed New York mayor race to a foreign-funded communist jihadi. Curtis Sliwa won his primary to get on the ticket. Andrew Cuomo lost his primary and refused to drop out. And you guys are blaming Sliwa? You guys are standing with Cuomo, the grandma killer? Here's another one of the individuals that spends all his time attacking Fuentes, all his time promoting Israel. Rather than pushing Nick Fuentes all week, it would have been nice for influencers to actually push conservative candidates, says Ayel Jacoby. That's why I'm convinced this entire thing is a psyop to take down MAGA. Well, what's the psyop? What's taking down MAGA? Again, you're the one that posts about Nick Fuentes all the time. That's you. You're the one that posts about Israel all the time. That's you. You're the one that was nowhere to be found in 2016 and 2020, and you're a young guy, so you were too young anyway, so that's fine. But you weren't here for 2016. You weren't here for 2020. You have no idea. You weren't in the battlefield. You have no idea what happened, how it went down, and why. And now you show up. Literally, the whole reason you showed up on the political scene was because you cried about how you don't feel safe on a college campus. That's literally what brought you here. And all you do is post negatively about Fuentes, and all you do is post positively about Israel. Maybe you're the psyop. And by the way, I don't want to get too much into this today, but because we've already done it this week and last. What does conservative actually mean anymore, folks? You're going to see a lot of this word a lot of this word conservative this, conservative that get thrown around. What does it even mean anymore? I'd like to know. What does conservative actually mean to these people? Because they don't conserve anything. Not only do they not conserve anything, the only real conservatives that are left in Congress, they attack the most. Marjorie Taylor Greene, Thomas Massey, Rand Paul. These are the only conservatives that are actually left in Congress, and they get attacked more than anybody from the Republicans. So what does a conservative even mean to these people? I'd love to hear them actually define conservative. And let's see whose political values actually align with that. Michael Savage, slimy Sliwa, the nobody, just elected the Muslim Brotherhood. Crazy, insane. Oh, Sliwa is a radical Muslim jihadi. His wife runs around in like tank tops and short skirts. Okay, I think they drink alcohol. He's a radical Islamic jihadi. You guys are just so pathetic. Josh Hammer, how does Curtis Sliwa sleep at night? Probably not so good since you guys threw him under the bus and then you guys did it. You guys are the ones that got Mamdani in. So yeah, Sliwa probably is tossing and turning because of the disgusting treatment he got from so-called conservatives, the disgusting treatment he got from so-called Republicans. And now you have a communist as the mayor because of you guys. You guys did it, not Sliwa. You guys did it. You have become so insufferable. You have become so disgusting that people would rather vote for a communist than you. You guys did that, not Sliwa. You guys did that. You are the reasons why Republicans are losing popularity. It's dropping like a rock in the ocean. It's because of you. Clay Travis, again, I don't want to, it's just a lot of the same stuff. Rough night for the Jews control America crowd. Well, the Jewish voters in New York City vote Democrat. Jewish voters in America lean Democrat more than Republican. And yes, Mamdani was funded by Jewish Americans. So again, I'm not claiming that this proves anything. I'm not claiming it proves, but it's just like, do you even do any research? Did you even look into the issue at all? New York City Jews very much supported Mamdani, and billionaire Jews funded his campaign. Okay? So I'm not saying that doesn't prove Jews control anything. I'm just like, you didn't even research anything at all. You don't know anything about the stuff you talk about. And again, folks, let me just say this. And this is why, to me, this is the most important thing I can be doing now. Because most people out there that do political talk shows, and there's different types of shows, right? There's news-driven shows, there's content-driven shows, and then there's like topical-driven shows. But as far as just political talk and news, which is where I like to, that's what I do here. That's the thrust of what I do here, just political talk, political news. Folks, most people in this space, they don't know anything that they don't do any research. They don't follow trends. They don't follow news. They just talk. And they talk about things they know nothing about. They don't even try. They don't even try to do research. They don't live the life. They don't have a finger on a pulse of anybody. They just talk. They're just there. They just make noise. And then they say things that prove they don't have any clue of anything they're talking about. I live this life. I don't talk about something I've not researched thoroughly. I don't cover things here that I don't have a very firm understanding of myself. You wait around through the political talk and political commentary in this country, 90% of the people that are talking are just making noise. They have no idea what they're talking about, and they don't even try to. That's why you're here. John Cardillo. Hope Sliwa is happy. His arrogance, ego, and decaying beanie handed the commie New York City. No, you guys did. You're so insufferable. You're so intolerable. You guys did. They could have used their platforms to energize conservatives and Republicans to turn out and vote in the elections. Yeah, but conservatives turned on them and attacked them and tried to destroy them and said that they're not needed and they're not wanted. So, really, are you surprised? Gee, oh, golly gee. Golly gee. I can't figure out why Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson and I don't understand why Nick Fuentes is why they are supporting Republicans. Well, I don't understand why Fuentes and Carlson and Owens aren't platforming Republicans. I don't understand why they're not supporting Republicans. I don't get it. I mean, sure, we just attacked them, you know. Yeah, I mean, we just tried to destroy these people's lives. We just tried to destroy these people's reputations, you know. We hate these people. We tell everybody else to hate these people, but golly gee, I don't know why they won't work for us. I don't know why they won't help us. I just can't figure it out. I got no idea, man. Gee. These people that I hate, these people that I told everybody else to hate, these people that I'm trying to destroy politically, why won't they help me? Why won't they work with us? Gee, golly, man, I don't know. Why do we lose? I don't know anything. I'm saying this with my full chest. F you, Curtis Lewa, says Angela Vanderplume. Nice. Yeah, guys. You're going to get a lot of great Republican candidates now. Yeah. And Mamdani got the majority of the vote, so it wouldn't even have mattered anyway. But you don't care about that. You don't even look into it. Yeah. Yeah, guys, I can't figure it out. I can't figure out why nobody cool wants to run as a Republican. I can't figure out why somebody wouldn't want to stick their neck out there and run as a Republican when this is the kind of treatment you get. You know, I just can't figure it out, guys. It's a mystery to me. George Santos. F you, Sliwa. I hate you. Your dumb wife. That stupid beret of yours. And your cats. Now, to Santos's credit, he kind of came out and kind of admitted he had a bit of a crash out. And it looks like Rachel Campos Duffy was kind of helping him, you know, work this whole thing out. And maybe Santos is still feeling a little bit of the post-prison world. And, you know, let me just say this, too. I don't know the deal. I don't know what the deal is with Sliwa. I don't know what the deal is with his hat and his whole thing of, I mean, he's literally in the streets. Like, that's what he is. He's like a street activist. Like, he's the fiber of New York City. And if anybody deserves to be the Republican nominee, it's him. So unless the Republicans just want to say, we're just done in these blue areas, then okay, fine. Just say you're done, and then Republicans are just going to abandon these areas. Okay, fine. Give up. Throw in the towel. Admit you suck. Admit you have no game plan. Admit you have no vision. Admit you're not willing to put in the effort. Sliwa is. And look at what you've done to him. So, but I kind of had a different perspective of this. And they keep bringing up this hat. Like, I don't know what's with the hat. I don't know Sliwa. I've never met him. I've never been in that group of people that he goes around with. He kind of has an entourage. But it reminds me of people I've known in my life that kind of are a little quirky, maybe even a little bit on the spectrum. But they have such a pure heart. They have such a pure heart that they really don't even know anything else. They're just so innocent. They just don't even know anything else. They don't even, like, the world around them, they don't even know how to comprehend it. They just exist in the world that they're in, and then that's who they are. That's their identity. You may have some friends like this. I had friends like this growing up. Some of them are on the spectrum. Some of them might be a little bit more than others. But there's they always have that identity, right? There's always kind of that weird quirk identity, that weird quirk personality. And it's just that's who they are. But they're so pure of heart. They're so pure of heart. And I kind of look at Sliwa that way. Now, again, I could be wrong with this judgment because I don't know him. I've not met him. But that's kind of what it reminds me of. It's like, this guy, it's just, the hat is like his little gimmick. The whole street activism thing is like his little quirk. And it's just that's all he is. That's all he knows. It's like he's innocent everywhere else. He's just pure of heart with that one thing that he does. It's like, I remember I had a friend in high school who was on the spectrum. And he was the manager of the basketball team. And I mean, he loved it, man. He loved that. He loved being the manager of the team. Nothing meant more to him. And he wore the tie every day. It was basketball game day. He wore the tie. And he was prepared for that game. It didn't matter if it didn't matter he wasn't going to play. That's who he was. He loved it. It embodied him. He loved it so much. He went to college. He was the basketball manager again. It's that's what Sliwa reminds me of. It's like that guy that's got some quirks, maybe even on the spectrum, but it's just pure of heart, and he just does his thing. And to see how you people are attacking him and treating him, you guys are the bad guys. You guys are the reasons why Republicans are losing. Let me try to pile drive through this as I'm going long here. Justin Hart, if only we had gotten out of the way, Tucker could have launched his get out the vote effort. Instead, he said spend his last few days defending Timu Hitler. Yeah, here you guys are. Yeah, you're fighting Nazis, just like the woke left now. You guys are teamed up with the woke left. You're fighting Nazis. And yeah, everything is Tucker's fault now. The guy you tried to destroy. Now you're blaming him for everything. Hilarious. Chris Lesh, husband of Dana Lesh. Turns out the lockdown, coupled with idiots trying to platform Nazis. Here we go again with the Nazis, the woke right. Scares away minorities, moderates, and independents. Who knew? So, we don't need them to, we need them. Which one is it? Do you not need Tucker Carlson, or do you need Tucker Carlson? Which is it? You guys can't seem to figure it out. Tucker Carlson has a huge platform. He has never mentioned Zoran Mamdani. So again, it's like they claim Tucker Carlson is celebrating Mamdani. They claim Tucker Carlson is the one that promoted Mamdani. And then they say, why hasn't Carlson mentioned Mamdani? They say we have to purge Tucker Carlson from the right. We don't need him. Then they lose an election. Geez, why won't Tucker Carlson help us? We need him. Which one is it, guys? Make up your mind. Dana Lesh weighs in. Thank goodness so many podcast hosts spent so much time hosting and defending Nazi twinks rather than hosting Sears, Ciccarelli, or Maieres, or even talk redistricting. They were so helpful to the movement tonight. What are you talking about? You guys said you didn't need them. You guys are the ones that purged them. You guys are the ones that kicked them out. And now you're saying, gee, why didn't you help us? Gee, why didn't you join the team? You cut them from the team. The GOP deserves to lose. Great job, America First woke right guys. You wanted a new conservative movement. Nothing like the coalition President Trump built. Again, you guys are the ones that purged them. You guys are the ones that told them to go home. You guys are the ones that said you didn't need them. What was the difference between 2024 and 2025? In 2024, when we had the coalition with all of these people, we won. In 2025, when you cut all these people from the roster and said, we don't need you, we don't want you, you lost. How can you blame the quarterback that you cut from the roster for losing the game? That's what you did. How can you blame the coach that you fired for losing the game? You guys are the ones that fired the coach. You guys are the ones that cut the quarterback. Now you're losing games, and you're blaming the quarterback and the coach that you fired. Emily Schrader, Mamdani, Fuentes, Carlson, Owens, the left and the right have merged into one Jew-hating socialist hellscape. Another straw man. Another total straw man. But now it's you guys. You guys, they did the horseshoe theory. They thought they had the horseshoe theory figured out. But again, it was all projection. You guys are the horseshoe theory. The woke left and the woke right are now right here. You're both fighting non-existent Nazis. You guys are actually exhibiting the horseshoe theory. Now the woke left and the woke right are fighting invisible, non-existent Nazis and misogynists and fascists. It's you guys. Taking clips of Nick Fuentes when he's like 18 years old. In last night's, this is Ezra Levant, in last night's election setbacks for Republicans, I'd say it's more than a setback. In battleground state, do you think this troll's comments about Jews, blacks, gays, etc. helped or hurt Republicans? Well, if he's just a troll, then why are you talking about him? If he's just trolling, then why do you take anything he says seriously? And no, I don't think Nick Fuentes made any difference in this election. Now he would probably say otherwise. I would say last night he basically claimed otherwise, so you can take that up with him. But that's not what did this. You guys did this. I truly hope Curtis Sliwa, this is Charlie Arnold. She's like an Instagram model, sideline reporter type. I truly hope Curtis Sliwa is shunned in New York City. He's a disgrace, a coward, a traitor, should no longer be welcome to walk the streets he claimed to support. Wow. Wow. Seriously, what is wrong with you people? Honestly, I mean, really, what is wrong with you people? There is something deeply disturbed with you. Here's more. This was from the Cuomo party last night. This was the Cuomo party in New York City last night. Look at how disturbing these people are.
By Soros and Maradami, he threw the election. Curtis Sliwa threw this election. Wake up, New York. Shame on you, Curtis Sliwa. You threw the election. You're a scumbag. You will never be loved in New York City ever again. You are a scumbag.
You guys are at an Andrew Cuomo event who lost his primary and refused to drop out. You guys are supporting Andrew Cuomo, who admitted that his policies led to thousands of elderly people dying in New York. And you're going to call Sliwa a scumbag for running as a Republican? You guys are the scumbags. You guys are supporting the scumbags.
What do you want to say to Curtis? Can I see why you fuck New York? Your own ego. Curtis, I interviewed you. I gave you time. I interviewed all the interviews. I interviewed Andrew. I interviewed you. I interviewed Jim. I interviewed Eric Adams. Eric Adams had the class to know when it was time to walk away. You stayed in for the money. You said it's not money.
For the money? He turned down the money. Sliwa literally turned down the money. He was offered money to drop out. He turned it down. So what are you talking about?
It's money, Curtis. Come after me now. Because I know why you stayed in this fucking race. It's who everybody you supported. And you ruined New York.
Who?
And Andrew Cuomo was way better suited to be the mayor. Now we got Zoran Mamdani, who you probably cut a deal with. Go on record. Come after me. You fuck New York.
So that's the crash out at the Cuomo party. All right. So all right. So now you've seen the most despicable elements of the right. You've seen the reason why right-wing and Republican politics are about to drop like a stone in the ocean. You've seen the reason why no sound-minded person with any charisma or popularity would ever want to run as a Republican because of the way they've treated Curtis Sliwa. So you've watched how they've responded to this. You've seen how they've responded to this. You've seen them epically crash out and blame everybody but the ones responsible. All right? So you've seen the worst of what Republican politics have to offer. You've seen the worst of what the American right has to offer in the last 60 minutes of this show. All right? Now, let's go to Curtis Sliwa. Let's see what Curtis Sliwa has done in response to last night. You just saw all the haters. You just saw all of their response, totally unhinged, totally crashing out, totally ignorant, totally out of touch, totally despicable. Now let's watch the response from Curtis Sliwa.
Let me warn our new leader. If you try to implement socialism, if you try to render our police weak and impotent, if you forsake the people's public safety, we're not only organizing, but we are mobilizing, and we will become the mayor-elect and his supporters' worst enemies, worst nightmare. Yes. Let me warn our new leader. If you try.
So who do you think handled that right? Who do you think sounds like they're fighting for New York City? Who do you think sounds like they actually care? Who do you think is putting political differences aside? Who do you think is handling it with a fighting spirit and a little class? You know what the truth is after witnessing all of this? You guys don't deserve Curtis Sliwa. He's too good for you. And you know what, unfortunately, you do deserve? And the reason why it's unfortunate is because everybody's going to have to suffer because of you now. But you deserved last night. You did. And if you don't change your tactics, and if you don't change your priorities, and if you don't deliver results for the American people ahead of the midterms, you're going to deserve that too. And the midterms will be just as nasty and just as brutal as they were last night. So the truth is, you don't deserve Curtis Sliwa. He's too good for you. But you did deserve that shellacking you got last night. And if you can't have just an ounce of self-awareness, if you can't have just a moment of self-reflection, and if you can't change your tactics, and if you can't deliver for the American people, then you're going to get the same ass whooping in the midterms. And you'll have nobody to blame but yourself, and you'll deserve every single bit of it. But Curtis Lee was too good for you. You never deserved him. He always was too good for you. And now, because of your despicable actions in response to this, good luck ever having a Republican willing to run in New York City again, let alone anywhere. Because why? Why risk it? Why run as a Republican when these psychos, these freaks, these paranoid schizophrenics, why bother? Why bother risking it all to run as a Republican when this is how they're going to treat you? It's sad. All right, I went long. We need to take a short break. I got a couple other things to close out on with this. And then open up the phone lines, and we'll get DMT on here in a bit before we sign off today as well, halfway through today's transmission.
You're listening to the Owen Report on the Win Network.
You found your political compass, the Owen Report.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, friends and family, but specifically for this, the men in the audience, we've got a little notice for you if you're tuned in today. And that is, really, it's a question. Did you know that men's testosterone levels decline 1% a year on average after the age of 30? It's not a good thing. It's not good news for men that are over 30, including myself. Men's testosterone levels on average are half of what they were 50 years ago. So that's making the problem even worse. Testosterone is more than just your manhood. It's critical for mental clarity, mood, sleep, and overall vitality. And so the Patriots at CHOQ.com, that's CHOQ.com, have formulated a blend of natural herbal supplements that support your body's natural testosterone production. Just one ingredient in their male vitality stack has boosted testosterone levels more than 50% in 21 days. And right now, you can get 25% off your CHOQ subscription for life. Just go to CHOQ.com, CHOQ.com, and use promo code OWEN to get 25% off any subscription. And you can cancel anytime. CHOQ supplements are made in America, and all American customer service teams are ready, standing by to assist you. So you can go to CHOQ.com, or you can text or call them at 50-CHOQ-3000. That's 50-CHOQ-3000. Call or text them, and they will answer any and all questions. Now, I talked about, obviously, how important a supplement sponsor would be to this show and how important it was for me to make sure that I chose the right one and had some time to test the products. Now, when I talked to the founders of CHOQ, and I said, hey, you know what? Here's the deal. I've tried your testosterone boosting products, the ones that I have on the screen here specifically. I take the daily and the Tomcat 100. I also take, actually every morning I take the Tomcat 100, the daily, and the Action 2.0. That's what I actually take in the morning. This is a different stack, the Male Vitality Stack Ultra. I take the ashwagandha at night, but I've actually been able to try these products. And so I said, look, I'm not going to promote a supplement that I haven't tried yet. And so I've been trying their natural T boosting supplements. So I have full endorsement. I can tell you they're fantastic. They're great. They're part of my routine now. Now, I didn't tell them this because I told them I'm only going to promote a supplement that I know works, that I like. And then once I try some of the other products, we can kind of work those into the routine. So we agreed, let's focus on the testosterone the organic testosterone boosting supplements first. I'm using them. I can promote them. I can tell you how great they work. So a little bit of a teaser here. Now, I told them that because they have a pre-workout too. And I told them I wasn't ready to do a pre-workout because I already have some pre-workouts that I like, but more importantly, I haven't tried theirs yet. So I wasn't gonna promote a product I hadn't tried yet. I tried their pre-workout for the first time last night, and I'll just say this: it is really one of a kind. It is really one of a kind, and it reminded me, if you were around in kind of the NO, the nitric oxide boosting vascular trend about 10 to 20 years ago is when it really was popular. And there's a product called NO Explode that was like the most popular one. And really the ingredients with that were mostly no good, but the flavor was the best. They have a pre-workout called Chad Mode, and it tastes just like that. It has like that real punch flavor, but it doesn't have the bad ingredients. So I told them, I was like, hey, let's just promote these products and then I can try some other ones and we can maybe work those in later. But I did try their pre-workout for the first time last night and really liked it. Really liked it. So yeah, you can check that out for yourself. CHOQ, CHOQ.com. Thanks to our friends at CHOQ for sponsoring the show. All right. I got a couple other news stories I want to hit here because you keep seeing people say, oh, well, and I kind of already addressed this. I need to be very smart with the rest of the time today. But all these people telling you that, oh, these are Democrat areas, these are blue areas, all this stuff, it's a lie, folks. Now, did Democrats win Democrat districts last night? Absolutely. Nobody's denying that. But if you think that's the story, you're just not paying attention. You're just not paying attention. Democrats win big over GOP incumbents in 2 statewide Georgia utility regulator races. Your energy bills are about to go up in Georgia. Look out. Democrats win key Georgia special elections, seen as bellwethers for midterms. Mississippi Democrats break Republican Senate supermajority. We are a battleground state. Democrats won in Ohio. Democrats won in Pennsylvania. So no, this wasn't a blue state, a blue city issue, folks. Democrats won elections last night that they hadn't won since the turn of the 21st century. Democrats gained a majority at the state level that they hadn't had since the turn of the 21st century. This was not a blue state, blue city issue. This was a nationwide memorandum. This was a nationwide referendum on how far off Republican Party politics have crashed, and maybe even specifically MAGA. If you really want to just hit it where it hurts, that's absolutely what it was. This was a referendum on MAGA. This was a referendum on Republican Party politics, and I would argue this is the worst night. You could probably say the stolen election was worse just because it's a stolen election. By the way, no arrest of the stolen election. Might be another reason why you lost, but hey, whatever. Don't want to arrest people that stole an election. Don't be surprised when you lose elections. No, I'd say last night was the worst night for Republican Party politics, the worst election results that they've seen since 2008. And it's really not that confusing. Why did Republicans get stomped out by Obama in 2008? Because of bad Middle East foreign policy, period. It's what it was. Why did Republicans get stomped out so badly last night? Because of bad Middle East foreign policy. Get with it or keep losing. You can listen to Thomas Massie, a true conservative, but you won't. To avoid a repeat of last night's shellacking in the 2026 midterms, Republicans should quit covering for pedophiles, put America before Israel, put farmers before corporations, quit funding wars abroad, reduce spending to control inflation, and quit attacking independent voices. How can you disagree with any of that? How can you disagree with any of that? Thomas Massie, if he wants to run for president, he can, and he could win. All right. You know what? I could get into how they're using Charlie now again in the aftermath of this disaster. I don't want to do it right now. I don't want to do it. I'm going to skip that. I'll briefly show this because I think this is a conversation that's going to have to eventually come up. And it's funny, I just mentioned Charlie Kirk, but this conversation might have happened this year, except that Charlie got killed on September 10th. So we didn't have the September 11th conversation because we were talking about Charlie. Now, some conspiracy theorists might say that's by design. But here's Max Abrams. Mamdani and Tucker both lie about 9/11. Imagine thinking that. Imagine being so naive. Imagine being so brainwashed. Imagine being so cucked that you trust your own government and you trust the impossibilities that the official 9/11 narrative has you believe. And then you say Mamdani and Tucker are lying about it. Hey, whatever. You say Mamdani and Tucker are lying about 9/11. Fine. Doesn't really matter. Doesn't really bother me. It probably doesn't bother them. But if you have a bigger issue with Tucker and Mamdani lying about 9/11 than your own government does, then you're pathetic. You are pathetic. And you're everything that's wrong with this country. Same right here. Jamie Mitchell. It took one generation to forget. To forget what? Do you really believe the official narrative of September 11th? Honestly, do you? Did you believe the official narrative about Donald Trump in 2016? Did you believe the official narrative about COVID, about vaccines, about masks? Did you believe the official narrative about transgender children? Did you believe all those official narratives? Did you believe the official narrative? I mean, should I go on and on and on? So you believe the official narrative of 9/11. And if you believe the official narrative of 9/11, there's only two options that lie ahead. One, you've either never looked into it for yourself, so you're just a blind follower. You don't do any research. You don't have any independent or critical thinking if you believe that and you've never looked into it. Or two, you just really don't have any interest. You just fully trust whatever the government tells you and you don't even have any interest in looking into it to yourself. But now that's what they're going with. Oh, it's 9/11. It's 9/11. Well, what do you even know about 9/11? You believe the official narrative about 9/11? Well, then if you're that stupid, you're probably too dumb to vote and you're probably too dumb to have a political opinion. Whoops. Laura Loomer, we have a major Islam problem in America. Yeah, see how that one plays out. That's not working so well for you. People aren't buying it anymore. But hey, whatever, that's your issue. Obviously, I mean, you seem to be a paranoid schizophrenic over Muslims, so okay. So that's your issue. You think every Muslim is trying to rape and kill you. So you have a mental issue with that. That's your own issue. So maybe get some help, or maybe move somewhere where you don't feel so scared all the time. But can you imagine if somebody said, "Oh wait, they do," and you say that they're bigots and misogynists and everything else, and they shouldn't be allowed in politics? Imagine somebody saying, "We have a major Jew problem in America." How does Laura Loomer respond to that? How does the entire right wing respond to that? This is why the 9/11 conversation is so imperative. And look, I'm all for having conversations. Or do Muslims assimilate? Do Jews assimilate? Whatever. Have the conversation, have the debate. All fair debate. You can say Muslims are worse. We don't want Muslims here. We don't want these Sharia law communities here. Whatever. I'm fine. I'm fine with all that. I don't care. I'm not pushing back on that. But if logic can't be applied universally, it's not logic, it's propaganda. So if you can say we have a major Islam problem in America, then you should be allowed to say we have a major Jewish problem in America. That's just called fair play. Now, you can disagree with that and you can debate it, and that's fine. But that's just fair play. And if logic can't be applied universally, it's not logic, it's propaganda. But why do people even believe this? Why do people even say this? Because of September 11th. Because they believe the official narrative of September 11th, which is a total lie. Now, that doesn't mean I could say I don't believe the official narrative of 9/11, and I still don't think Muslims can assimilate. I can say I don't believe the official narrative of 9/11, and I can still say I don't want these Muslim communities popping up. Two things can be true. You can hold both those beliefs. But let's just have fair play here. If you can say one, you can say the other. And if your entire ideology on this issue is based off September 11th, then your entire ideology on this issue is based off of a lie. All right, I'm not going to have time to get into this today. Supreme Court justices appear skeptical that Trump tariffs are legal. I think we're going to get deeper into that tomorrow. And I'm going to have an attorney guest on. I'm trying to confirm it for now. I think Bob Barnes is good for tomorrow, founder of 1776 Law Center, the official legal team of the Owen Report. I think we'll have that confirmed tomorrow. It looks like that might not go Trump's way. And if Trump doesn't get that in the Supreme Court, that could be big trouble. Big trouble for the trade deals, folks. Not good. All right. Let me see how fast I can pour through some of this stuff before I take calls. Let me see how much of this stuff I really want to make sure I get today. I'm going to put off the healthcare, Obamacare stuff, even though this is a big issue. I think we can wait and do that tomorrow. I mentioned some of that yesterday. I brought more of the proof today, but I think we can probably hold off on that tomorrow. I think I can hold off on some of these other stories until tomorrow. Because I want to prioritize phone calls today. So I think I can sideline most of this stuff. I will go to this though. Since this is election related. So last night in Travis County in Austin, is where I live, we had a vote on a bunch of different proposals, and there were a bunch of different tax hikes proposed, and they basically all got struck down. Now, again, I don't want to go too deep into just Austin politics or Texas politics here, but something that I've theorized and talked about quite a bit here was totally proven last night. And I did a little deeper research, and I looked around outside of Travis County and outside of Texas, and it's just totally true. So Daniel Fountain here, Austin Realtor. Good morning, Austin. I woke up to realize that 63% of Austinites chose to hold city council's inflated budget in check and to stand up for Austin citizens who are being gaslit on Prop Q's tax increase. Congrats on unifying as a city across party lines. I don't know if she's on the left or the right, but she is right as far as the results. I don't know if she's left or right. Doesn't necessarily make a difference. The results were overwhelming. We shot down the taxes. So there were a couple different propositions. They all lost to increased taxes. Now there was one, and this is a crazy one. And I'm in communication with some local conservatives in the Texas legislature. I'm talking to Texas Republicans right now that are actually in office about this. But there was this weird water bill. That passed that now this Israeli company has domain over Texas water. Insane, right? Crazy. But I'm in talks with some of the local Republicans here to kind of get the real story behind this. But so there's two takeaways. One, whenever Americans are allowed to vote on issues, they always come together and they always seem to find common ground. Cutting taxes, like we saw here in Austin, a perfect example. So people on the left and people on the right showed up in Austin to cut taxes last night. And Austin, which is a blue area, Travis County, which is a blue area, normally you'd think liberals, Democrats, they vote to increase taxes. They love bigger government, more taxing. And even in liberal blue Travis County, we voted against tax increases that were on the ballot last night. And we voted against them overwhelmingly. All of them came in over 60%. Whenever Americans get to vote on issues, they usually vote the same way. We need more issue votes. That's what we need. Now, here's the other thing that they did, and this is why the Texas water thing actually passed. If it would have been worded right on the ballot, it would have probably failed. And they do this everywhere. I'm sure wherever you're at listening to this, when you go vote on these propositions, you know exactly what I'm talking about. They word these things so confusingly that you don't even know what you're voting for. They intentionally make these things so hard to comprehend just by reading them that you vote and you don't even know what you just voted for. You don't know if you voted to approve it or disprove it, the way that they word these things. I don't know why they do it that way, because you'd think it wouldn't even serve the purpose if you're trying to get somebody to vote how you want them to vote. If they don't even know what they're voting for, they don't even know if they're voting yes or no or what it is. It's like, doesn't really serve the purpose, but whatever. Seems this happens every time. Happened again last night. But when Americans get to vote on issues, they normally vote together. Now, here's another development I've witnessed last night. So Detroit elects their first mayor, Mary Sheffield, first female mayor. And, it's all hugs and waving and everything and cameras, lights, camera, and action. And, okay. You know what I realized watching last night in a lot of these races? And I think it happens on both sides, but definitely way, way more on the left. Folks, most of these people just run. It's like a Hollywood thing. It's like a red carpet thing. They just run because they want to do it. They just run because they want the lights, camera, action. They just run because they want to be on TV. They just run because they want the fancy desk. They just run because they want the clout. They want the attention. They want the campaign. They want to wave at the cameras and kiss the babies and get the name recognition and the prestige and the notoriety. They don't care. They don't care about issues. They don't care about people. It's just a show. That's all this is. Most of these politicians, they just run. It's a show. They don't have any real beliefs, principles. They don't have any visions or ideas. They just want to be in front of the cameras. They just want to be in the headlines. They just want the prestige and the local clout. It's all a show. So our political system is so screwed up. All right, let me do this here and kind of reset and take calls. So, folks, it's bad. I'll tell you what, I'll go to this John Solomon video first and then try to encapsulate how bad last night really was. And this is from a White House perspective. Oh my gosh. Oh man, this is a mess. This is a mess. All right, let me play the clip and then tell you what's going on behind the scenes here. So this is John Solomon now talking about Pam Bondi. And then I'll follow up with some other framing of just how bad all of this actually is.
And yesterday, to give you a sense of where our Attorney General is, she did an Epstein Documents 2.0 on all of us. She did it. She put out this tweet, got a lot of traffic, great Fox News story. Oh my God, guess what I discovered? I discovered that Joe Biden gave up Donald Trump's phone and Mike Pence's phone to Jack Smith. That's great, Madam Attorney General, except that story came out in April. She wasn't even aware that wasn't a new development, but an old development that had been discussed by Senators Grassley and Johnson for months. If you want to fix the perp walk problem, if you want to fix the opportunity to bring accountability, Kash Patel has the evidence. The prosecutors, with the exception of Halligan, are lagging far behind the evidence, and that sand clock is ticking down not only on statute of limitations, but on the time that occurs in between elections. 26 elections already underway. We're missing really valuable time to educate the public. The American people are missing valuable time. I don't think DOJ is getting there. When you see that there was a 6-month delay in this document, when you see the Attorney General presenting something new that is old, she's so far behind the facts. I'm really worried that Donald Trump doesn't have the team that can bring accountability to the Justice Department. That's just my reporting. And by the way, that's what many Justice Department and members of Congress have been saying to me privately over the last 4 weeks.
All right. Now let me give you some important color around this. Let me give you some very important color commentary around what he just said so that you understand how big this actually is. Okay? John Solomon, with a couple other people, but Solomon specifically, gets exclusives from the DOJ. And I'm telling this, I know this, that the DOJ has been working basically hand in hand with people at Fox and John Solomon to give them exclusives for them to break at Fox News. And I know this for a couple of reasons, but I'll tell you the personal reason why I know this. It's because I have had a couple exclusives I have had a couple exclusives, and the DOJ intentionally stalled giving us the goods and instead gave them to Fox News so they could roll the exclusive first, and then they released it to us. This comes from FOIA requests and other such things. Where I make a FOIA request, we get the response first, but then they actually give it to Fox or Solomon first so that they can break the exclusive, and then they send it to us afterwards. This has happened multiple times. Totally confirmed. Okay? Now, the only reason why I say that is Solomon is obviously well aware of this, and Solomon obviously has his own sources in the DOJ, as he's just saying. Folks, if John Solomon is coming out here and throwing Pam Bondi under the bus, it's bad. I mean, really bad. And if Solomon is basically kind of putting his sources out there, not by name, but he's saying, I've got my sources, and this is what they're saying, and they're throwing Bondi under the bus too. Folks, this is bad. Now, do you know what Pam Bondi did today? I bet you could take a guess. Pam Bondi was on Fox News today talking trade. What? Yeah. Talking trade. Now, I could get into a little more color commentary on this, but I think that's enough for now. And I will tell you that the White House is not in good shape today, folks. It's not good. And Trump is, he's shaking. And it's hard for me to put a pin on it because, I mean, you can see what he says and what he looks like, and it's not good. But I don't know if that's Trump getting frustrated with the current advisors he has. I don't know if that's Trump getting frustrated with the state of the American voters that he feels he's losing control of. I don't know. I don't know the source of frustration here from Trump, but you can tell it's bad. Things are bad. It's tense, and it's not good in the White House today. And I'm telling you, if John Solomon is coming out and throwing Bondi under the bus now, folks, it's like 5-alarm fire around there. And that means people at the DOJ are losing faith fast. And I don't even know does anybody even know what Dan Bongino is up to right now? Have we seen or heard from Bongino recently? The only reason Patel has been in the news is because he's been flying around on a private jet to watch his girlfriend perform. It's bad, man. Look, I'm just a realist, folks. Okay? I call it as it is. Never doubt me. And I'm telling you right now, after last night, all of these things that have been kind of slowly building up, slowly intensifying, everything just kind of crashed through the front door last night. And now Trump realizes that at this rate, we're cooked. We're going to lose the midterms, and then we're going to lose in 2028. And so now, I mean, I don't support ending the filibuster, but now Trump is going to be even more gung-ho about ending the filibuster, because if he doesn't, then nothing is going to get done. And the entire agenda is going to be crashing before it reaches even the halfway point of this race. So just understand how bad last night was, and now understand that the administration, all the stuff that has been blocked, that the gatekeepers and the doorkeepers have been trying to block from getting into the Oval Office, it all crashed in last night, folks. It all crashed in. And it's scrambling, and it's panicking now. So, and Trump came out and said, yep, we're going to lose the midterms now. So they're all panicking now. So we're all panicking now. But don't underestimate the significance of John Solomon throwing Pam Bondi under the bus. That's very indicative of things going on behind the scenes, and I'll leave it at that. So we're going to close out the second hour now, and I'm going to open the phone lines when we come back. Take some calls. We're still going to hear from DMT before the end of the show. Man. You know, somebody asked me the other day, and then actually I got asked again today, a friend listening to the show. They said, do you really like Blackout Coffee that much? Do you really? And I said, well, I'll tell you what, why don't you come over and you can look and see for yourself. I've got Blackout Coffee. I've got an entire pantry filled with Blackout Coffee, but I'm really just drinking the instant coffee right now. But yes, I really do enjoy Blackout Coffee that much. And so if you are a coffee fiend and you love coffee, you're going to love Blackout Coffee, and you're going to love that you can get 20% off your first order with coupon code Owen. So take advantage of that coupon, get 20% off your first order. But yes, I do like Blackout Coffee that much. And I'm kind of, it's like, man, do I really want to admit, if I come on air in December and I'm drinking my Blackout Coffee, do I really want to admit that I'm drinking candy cane flavored coffee? Like, do I really want to admit that? Is that going to hurt my manhood too much if I admitted that? Would eggnog be more acceptable? Maybe Winter Wonderland, maybe peppermint mocha. These are different flavors of single serve pods that you can get right now at blackoutcoffee.com. All the different flavors in the world that you can imagine. They're all there at blackoutcoffee.com. And I'm just wondering, does it hurt my manhood if I'm drinking candy cane flavored coffee on the show? Does that hurt my manhood? Would you consider my man card to be in question if that was the case? Because we might be coming up on that day very soon. Because I just ordered a ton of these single serve pods, and we're going to be trying these flavors. So I just want to soften the blow. When I'm on air in a couple weeks drinking candy cane flavored coffee, I don't want to hear about it, all right? I'm making the choice. I need to test all these different flavors. In fact, that's my excuse. I need to test all these different flavors so that I can tell you what is the best flavor. So I'm doing it. I'm going to test. I'm going to get all these flavors in. We're going to do the Winter Wonderland, the peppermint mocha, the candy cane, the eggnog, maybe even the pumpkin spice. Who knows? We're going to try them all, and I'm going to let you know the best ones. But I don't want you to judge me too much. Somebody has to taste test the candy cane flavored coffee before you buy it. Somebody has to do it. I'll be the guy. Somebody has to test the pumpkin spice coffee before you try it. I'll be the guy. I'll do that for you. So really, I should be getting thanked for this. But there's all kinds of different flavors you can try. Coconut caramel mocha, Jamaican me crazy, French vanilla, caramel cream, banana foster, double dark chocolate for our chocolate fans out there. Or you can go with my favorite blend, which is just the pitch black dark roast espresso. They've got that in the single serve pods. All of it at blackoutcoffee.com/Owen. 20% off your first order with coupon code Owen. So just go there, do a bunch of shopping, look at all the different coffees, all the different flavors, all the different bags, the instant coffee, the apparel, the mug, the official mug of the show. It's all at blackoutcoffee.com/Owen, the official coffee of the Owen Report. We thank our friends at Blackout Coffee for sponsoring today's show. All right. End of the hour break. We'll come back, open up the phone lines. We'll probably hear from DMT before the show is over as well. Last break here, and then we come back with open phone lines.
You're listening to the Owen Report on the Win Network.
Extra dimensional and multi-universal. Here's your host, Owen Schroyer.
Hey, so we hit the record for the longest government shutdown. So we're now in record territory. I'm not complaining. Congratulations. But things are about to get serious. The shutdown stuff is about to get serious. And so everything with this is different now. Everything with the government shutdown is different now. These special elections are over. So whatever implications that the results of those had and the desire or lack thereof to reopen the government, that's done. So people are repositioning. Now the real world effects of this are really going to start to be felt with air traffic control, with food stamps and some other things, and other paychecks not going out. So now we're in record territory. Now it's actually going to start getting interesting. And now people are going to have to start weighing what they really want to do. So it was mostly just a political football going back and forth. It was mostly just kind of just nonsense between the two parties as usual. Now it's real. Now it's realer than it's ever been. Now the whole thing is still fake. There's still not a dime of foreign aid isn't going to be stopped. You know, none of these oppressive bureaucracies are going to stop violating Americans' rights. So it's not like it's a real government shutdown, but it's about to get real. It's about to get more real than it's ever been this week. So just anticipate some of that fallout happening now. And then I think, and now it just becomes a game of strategy. And what is your strategy going to be? But everything changed after last night. And then everything's going to change again now that real world effects from this shutdown are going to start to be felt. So just kind of prepare yourselves for that. All right. Let's open up the phone lines. Phone number 747-255-60, 747-5560, and we will get you up and on the air. Remember, it's a single line, so I pick up and you are live. Okay, so first caller of the night. What is your name and where are you from? First caller of the night. Yeah, go ahead.
This is Mike in Connecticut.
Okay, Mike. Oh, Connecticut, another place where Republicans got trounced last night.
Yes, sir. The belly of the beast. Pleasure to talk to you, young man.
Thank you. What's on your mind today?
Well, I have a question that I would like to ask you that might be a little bit off the subject matter tonight on its surface, but it's not when you get to the depth of it. But before the question, I want to probe that a little bit and go into a little bit of an observation I have. I happen to think that you are absolutely correct when you diagnose things as the woke right. I happen to have picked up on this over the last couple of years, and I call them the herd myself.
Yeah, they are like zombies. They are like zombies. And in fact, I have a draft. It's funny that you say that. I have a draft that I was probably going to post tonight on X that I didn't post last night. But it's funny you say that. I am now going to start calling them zombies because that's what they are. They're zombies.
Well, they're a little smarter than the left zombies for sure. They're intelligent. And one of the things that I think that you could put a characteristic on them that I find unbecoming is they hold themselves to be somewhat above the fray. They're the owners of the conservative principles. They're the owners of religion. They're the owners of all the things that went into making America great. And we have to see things their way, or you're not in that club.
Yeah.
So it goes a little beyond the foreign policy or the economic dichotomy that you're talking about.
And I'm sorry to cut you off, but it's like what you're talking about here is something I've warned about for years. If you've listened to my show for years, I've been saying that political purism is a cancer for any political movement. And so what you're describing here is political purism. Now the problem is they're very selective. They're not actual political purists. They're not even political pragmatists. I don't know what they are. They're cultists, they're loyalists, whatever it is. They're neither purist or pragmatist. So notice they're not too politically pure to not endorse a Democrat. They'll endorse Cuomo. They're not too politically pure to say, hey, we don't believe two men should be adopting babies. They're not too politically pure to feature a porn star at the RNC as a main speaker. So they're not too politically pure for that. So it's just like, when do you decide when you want to be pure and when you don't want to be pure?
I would argue amen, but I'm going to fall back to I think they're more intelligent and more principled than to dust them off. They might have they're looking askew here. I just think they hold themselves higher than thou. Now,
that's true. They definitely think they're better than everybody else. They definitely have a holier than thou mentality.
Now you have gone to battle with, let's say, Mark Levin and Ben Shapiro and a few others of that ilk. And I have a question regarding that. And I hope you spend some time thinking about this before you come up with an answer. It's been very evident to me that Rush Limbaugh was an inspiration to you with the closing music that you play and the "Don't doubt me" comment, which he always did. I suspect that Rush Limbaugh might be in that woke right category, and I'm afraid to say it, but I just wonder, and I would like to know what you might think of that.
Well, I think I can give a pretty good answer to that. I think your instincts are right in that, and this is where a lot of people have issues with Rush, because he was a lot more mainstream, kind of mainstream Republican, neocon Republican. He definitely was way more into that lane, let's say, than our anti-establishment lane. So that is true. And I think that because of that, your analysis here is fair. Now, I will say, though, the one thing about Rush was that he was not out of touch with the American people. He was still very much in tune with where the American people were at. So even if he might have disagreed with where something was going or conclusions that people were reaching, even if he didn't like it or he was uncomfortable with it, he would still come out and say it and address it face on. So he wouldn't be, he wouldn't be avoiding these things per se. He would be reporting on them. Now, whether he would be on board or not, that is where maybe you could say he might kind of lean with them. But I actually think where we're at now, Rush would sound way more like, say, me than a Mark Levin. And if you kind of follow the final years of Rush and really going in, Rush was kind of on the fence about Trump. He wasn't, and he was friends with Donald Trump. They used the same paint. The same paint that was on Rush Limbaugh's microphone was the same paint that Trump put on his airplane. There's a little fun story for you. Trump called Rush and said, "What color is that paint? I want to use it on my airplane." So they were friends. But when Trump was still kind of controversial on the right, Rush was skeptical, and he was still kind of playing all sides, and he wasn't all in for Trump. Now, when it was clear Trump was going to win the primary, then Rush went all in for Trump. So Rush was way more in touch with his audience. He was way more in touch with the American people, and he was way more malleable and fluid with what he did on air than, say, somebody like a Shapiro or a Levin would be, because they're just rigid. They're just rigid. They're not mobile. They're not flexible. They're not agile at all. Rush was. So I don't think you're, and again, I mean, I criticized Michael Savage today. I got plenty of issues with Michael Savage. I still love Michael Savage. He's still one of my greatest inspirations. I can disagree with people that I like. I can disagree with people that I love. I can passionately disagree with them. I think it's healthy, quite frankly. So I think your instincts as far as the Rush question are concerned are on point, but I don't think that the Rush Limbaugh that you're talking about, I don't think that Rush Limbaugh would be the Rush Limbaugh that goes on air. I think Rush Limbaugh would have kind of managed things enough to know okay, this is what's good, this is what's not, this is what's popular, this is what's not. He probably would have delivered it in a more neutral manner than maybe me. But I don't think he would have. I don't think he would have embraced the woke right. I don't think he would have embraced the woke right. And I think specifically, he would have seen that Americans are rejecting the current foreign policy in the Middle East. And he might have said that he still supports it. And he may still even be very publicly supportive of Israel. I don't know. That I don't know. But Rush would definitely go on air today and say the reason why Republicans are losing is because of foreign policy failures and because of low approval rating foreign policy. I have no doubt about that. Now he could say that they're wrong, but I believe he would report that.
Even your friend last night, you had Roger on, and he kind of held back a little bit, and he supported the bombing in Iran. He told you, I believe. I think you handled that conversation very well with him. There was no fireworks or anything. I hope you're right about Rush Limbaugh. He was an inspiration to me, and I'm just a construction worker and a truck driver, and I listened to him daily and loved him. I shed a tear when he passed. I think he was an inspiration to you as well. And I will say this: I don't think he ever went as far as he ought to have gone. But it's a different time, different things. My advice to you is you keep going like you are and go far enough. You got an astute political mind, Owen.
I couldn't help it. It's funny. I couldn't help it, and I thank you for that call. It's very nice. And when I was first formulating the show, and getting things lined up with sponsors and other stuff, my intention, and if people were kind of paying attention to some of the things I was saying in the interim when I was off air. My intention was to kind of go more that way, was to try to not censor myself, but like, hey, let's find a delivery mechanism. Let's find an approach that is easier for most Americans to understand, most Americans to consume. And I think that that's what Rush Limbaugh did, and he ended up having the biggest audience in the history of political talk. So that was really my concept, was like, let me try to find a more middle ground. Let me try to find a more approachable way to present this information and not get so caught up in my own passion, not get so caught up in my own ego, even, you might say. But, Rush had a plenty big ego himself. But I can't help myself. And I talk to the people, I talk to the sponsors and everything else. And they're like, no, they're like, just go. You do you. Don't put the brakes. Don't try to be something you're not. Go all in. Do you. So it's happened. It's done. There's no going back. I'm always going to be me. But I just think it's impossible. I think that the problem, and you said, Russia, it was a different world. And I think that that's the key. That's the key element here. We're in a different world. You can't really be neutral anymore. And that's not to say, that's not a pick a sides thing. That's not you got to pick a side. It's more like there is no lukewarm anymore. There is no trying to stay and walk the tightrope and stay mediocre or stay neutral or stay like it. You can't anymore. You have to decide where you stand on things, and you have to stick your foot down, and then you have to really passionately and coherently explain why. You can't do mediocre political commentary anymore. You can't just regurgitate slop anymore. Nobody wants that crap. You can't do it anymore. Way too many options in talk, political talk. Way too many options, podcast, YouTube, whatever. Way too many options now to try to be mediocre or neutral or watered down. You can't do it now. So it is what it is. So I'm just going to be me. I'm never going to censor myself. I'm never going to say something I don't actually believe. I'm never going to talk about things I haven't actually looked into myself. And I don't know how many people in political talk can make that claim and be honest about it. I don't think there's very many, really. Next caller, what's your name? Where are you from?
Hey, Owen. Brian in Texas.
What's up, Brian?
I kind of want to expand on what you were saying towards the beginning of the show, talking about Nick Fuentes and everything. Sorry, my dog's banging on the bowl. With that, I'm a male in my mid-30s or whatever, and you were talking earlier how no one's really talking about he's not like the focus of everything, right? What I find interesting is also same thing kind of goes with Charlie Kirk. I was aware of him and everything, but I never really listened to any of his stuff until, that tragic day and he was assassinated. And now I'm noticing kind of the same thing is happening with the character assassination on Nick Fuentes. Like I catch myself, I'm seeing more of his stuff online. I'm listening to his stuff. And by the way, the guy is actually pretty freaking hilarious. But I'm consuming more of his content. Same thing with Charlie Kirk. So after all this attack and everything that's coming towards them, so I don't know. I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, let me expand on what I said earlier, and then kind of respond to what you just said. It's not that people know who Tucker Carlson is. They know who Candace Owen is. They know who Nick Fuentes is. What I'm saying is, when I go out and I talk to people about political issues, they don't get brought up. Whatever Nick Fuentes says or does is not a political issue. Whatever Candace Owens says or does, whatever guests Tucker Carlson has on his show, these are not political issues. Now you can talk politics with people and they might bring something up that they saw in the political world, but these are not political issues. These are not issues that people think about as far as who am I going to vote for or what policies am I going to support. They're not talking about political personalities. They're talking about political issues. And so that's my point. It's that when I see all of these people making it all about political personalities that are just commentators, I'm sitting here and I'm saying, you're missing the point. When people are talking about the political issues that matter to them, that are going to drive them to the polls, it's not a person. It's not a political commentator. It's issues. It's the economy. It's foreign policy. It's immigration. These are the issues people talk about, not people. So that's why when I see everybody, spazzing out over whether it's Carlson or Owens or Fuentes, I'm just saying nobody's talking about them as a political issue. It's not a political issue. These are political commentators. These are not political issues that people are going and deciding what they're going to vote on. Now, here's the other thing, and this is kind of two prongs of the same object. Let's say after all the character assassination attempts that we saw them try against Donald Trump and fail, how can you still think that this works? You know what I'm saying? It's like, how can you still think that these character assassinations in mass work? You already tried it against Donald Trump and failed miserably. It's not going to work anymore. People don't believe it anymore. And then here's the other prong, and this will be my final statement. When I see people going out, and you could say it's about anybody, but let's just say about Mamdani in this case. Mamdani's a Jew hater. Mamdani's an anti-Semite. Well, I don't know. Maybe he is, maybe he isn't. Here's your problem. You have called so many people a Jew hater. You have called so many people an anti-Semite that are not, that now the words have no meaning. And so there's so many people now that have been a victim of this character assassination, a victim of these defamatory statements, these libelous statements, these slanderous statements. I happen to be one of them. So that's what I'm saying. It's like, first of all, I don't hate anybody, okay? I don't hate anybody. But specifically, I am not a Jew hater, and I am not an anti-Semite. I know that because I'm me. So when I see all of these people claiming that I'm these things that I'm not, and I know it's not true, now when I see them making those exact same claims about other people, I have to assume it's not true about them either. So that's what you do. When you lie once, you're always a liar. And so all of these people lying about me, now I just assume you're lying about everybody and everybody else all the time. Everybody and everything else that you talk about now I assume is a lie because I know you're lying on me. So it's like, again, the character assassination stuff fails. And once you've lied about me, and I know you lie about me, now I just assume you're lying about everybody and about everything all the time. So it's like they don't get this stuff and they just can't get through it. I don't know. They're just stuck, man. It's crazy. Hey, I thank you for the call. I got to jump. I got to take more calls. Next caller, what's your name? Where you from?
Yes, this is Nick from Mississippi, the #1 Schroyer warrior.
What's up? What's up, Nick? Another state that Republicans took a beating in. My goodness.
Yeah, it was a hell of a night last night.
Yeah.
But no, I was going to tell you, and I haven't heard anybody say this today. My wife and I were talking last night, and once the results started coming in, we started talking about New York, and she asked me, like, what's the worst thing you think that could happen? And most of the people that I've heard, they're thinking New York governor said she wasn't going to bail them out if something happens.
Yeah.
I would think put it on the U.S. taxpayer at some point. But the thing that I came up with that just kind of, just came out of left field was this would be the perfect opportunity for somebody like George Soros and, people with a lot of money like that to actually fund the programs he wants to. That would show, other metropolitan areas and heavy Democratic areas that he that Mamdani, like, his policy actually worked this time, like socialism actually worked this time. And then I would surmise that would enable other districts and states and governments to flip to that. Once they flip to that and it doesn't get funded, that's how you can collapse the U.S.
Well, we'll see. We'll see what the results here are. I'm not anticipating anything good, but I do find it ironic. Like, New York, guys, New York is already a shithole, and so it's just like, again, I wouldn't support Mamdani. I don't expect things to get any better. But let's wait and see. But it's just like, New York is already a shithole. Have you, like, it smells like trash. There's trash everywhere. There's scaffolding everywhere. It's like, it's expensive now. It's a nightmare. Commute is a nightmare. The trains are falling apart. They're dangerous. They're not safe. So it's not like, it's like they're acting like, oh my gosh, New York City, this bastion of conservatism, this bastion of American pride and freedom and conservatism. Oh, we've given it over to the radical Muslim, the communist. It's like, dude, New York sucks. I wish New York City was great. I love New York City. It's one of the coolest places on earth. But let's not pretend like Mamdani isn't inheriting a shithole. All right? Come on. All right, let's take one more call here, and then I think DMT, we're going to get DMT to weigh in today on some of these topics. Next caller, what's your name, where you're from?
I am Josh from Arcadia.
What's up, Josh?
What's going on, buddy? People have lost their damn minds.
Yeah.
They have lost their damn minds. When the hell have we got a woke right and a woke left?
Yeah.
Do people not understand what New York City has voted for? That's a blue state, yes, but do they not see what's going to come on?
Oh, it's all Sliwa's fault. It's Sliwa's fault for everything. Sliwa did it.
It wasn't Sliwa at all. I'm on board with you on that, man. Why did they not back him? That's ridiculous.
They're scum.
I don't understand this administration. It sounds like he is surrounded with the same group of dumb fucks he was surrounded with in 2018 that gave him bad information.
I'm gonna tell you the simplest answer, and it's more complex than this. Okay, I'm not saying this is 100% of the equation, but I'm gonna tell you the simple answer. Here's what you have. This is the truth, folks. Okay, this is just the truth. You have people in politics that have one issue. There are plenty of people in politics that have one issue. It could be abortion, it could be this, it could be that, whatever. But you have the most powerful, the most influential, and the most well-funded group right now in American politics in Washington, D.C., is the Israeli lobby. And the only thing they care about is prioritizing Israel. That's it. That's all they care about. So who wins elections, who loses elections, they do not care. Doesn't matter to them. AIPAC owns both parties. AIPAC owns the Democrats and the Republicans. AIPAC funds them all. The big Jewish billionaires that love Israel, the dual citizens that love Israel, all they care about is Israel. That's all they care about. Just ask Ben Shapiro. Ben Shapiro even said, my loyalty to America begins and ends with America's support and loyalty to Israel. That's what Ben Shapiro said. That's how they think. That's how these people think. Now, for 98% of Americans, they don't feel that way. 98% of Americans have no loyalty to Israel, have no connection to Israel. They don't think about Israel. They don't care about Israel, quite frankly. They care about America. But the most powerful, well-funded lobbying interest right now is the Israel interest. And as long as Israel is prioritized, they will continue to fund and own D.C. politicians. And they own both sides of Congress. And so that's what you have. And this is why you have this disconnect, folks. This is the big disconnect. And this is what a lot of people can't understand on both sides. So the Israeli loyalists and the Israel firsters, they don't understand that 98% of the country does not understand where they're coming from. They can't comprehend that 98% of the country does not have loyalty to Israel, is not interested in loyalty to Israel, could not care less about Israel. They just assume everybody loves Israel as much as they do, and it's not true. Okay? And then on the other side of that issue, people are now kind of seeing it, but it's just like, why are we so loyal to Israel? Like, what is the deal with this? So it's now, there's a reason why it's the number one topic. There's a reason why everybody is talking about it now. There's a reason why this administration is prioritizing Israel. And so that's what's going on. That's it. It doesn't have to be controversial. Nobody's making any bad accusation. This is just a fact. The Israel lobby only cares about Israel. And they don't care who wins or loses elections as long as Israel is prioritized. And so why do you see these people? Sliwa maybe is an example. I don't know. Why do you see all these people freaking out? Why do we have this disconnect that you're talking about? It's because they only want Israel loyalists in politics, specifically on the right wing. That's what this is all about. So you can be gay and adopt kids. They don't care. You can be a polygamist. They don't care. You can be a porn star. They don't care. You can be a rapper. They don't care. And by the way, I really don't care either. But the minute you don't support Israel, now you're out. The minute you don't support Israel and you don't want to continue to support Israel, that's where they draw the line. So they don't care. Gay men getting married, adopting kids, no big deal. Transgenders, fine. Porn stars, fine. All that, fine. They don't care. All of that is fine. But the minute you disagree on Israel, that's not fine. Now you have to be cut out. And it's because Israel is their only priority. That's it. That's it. Israel is their only priority. Nothing else matters. Republicans win, Democrats win, nothing matters. All that matters is that Israel is taken care of and Israel is prioritized. That's all they care about. And that's why you see people freaking out that they're losing the narrative and Israel is losing support. And on the right, Israel is just hemorrhaging support. This is why they're all crashing out. Because at the end of the day, Israel is all they care about. And you know what? They might not even know it. They might not even realize it. Honestly, they might not even realize that this affection that they have towards Israel, 98% of Americans do not have it. They just assume everybody feels the same way. They don't. And so they're crashing out. They're panicking. They don't know what else to do. It isn't that Israel is their biggest issue. It's that Israel is their only issue. And it's never been more obvious. It's never been more clear. And as this revelation continues to open up for conversation, it's only going to get worse. And what do you think is going to happen when 1% of the American body politic cares about this issue that 99% of the people don't care about, but that 1% has more power and more influence and more access than the 99%? How do you think that's going to go? Well, you're witnessing it, folks. You're witnessing it right now. That's what you're seeing. Next caller, what's your name? Where are you from?
Hi, Anthony, New York.
All right, Anthony. Fun times in New York, huh?
No, I was told we were in the golden age.
Oh. Yeah. Oh, you're not buying it, huh?
So, no, we're never going back to the way it was in the late 1950s. Those days are long gone.
I'll tell you what, the only golden age you're getting is right here with the Owen Report. This is the golden age of political talk right here, the Owen Report. Other than that, I don't know.
Well, you do have a golden microphone, so.
That's what I'm saying. I was once called the golden boy of the right, by the way.
Well, I have to
True
say,
story.
I have to mention, I saw the stats for the mayor race, and it looked like the majority of the women voted for him.
Yeah, it was like 80%, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
80%. Do not marry those women.
Thank you. Any other relationship advice? That's
no,
funny.
Good. I appreciate the show. Just want to say hi.
Yeah. Well, it was women and it was young men that and it was all the foreigners. It was women and young men that voted for Mom Donnie. That's who it was. And most of those young men would probably be willing to vote Republican if they could deliver any results or talked about the issues they care about. But all they get is bad foreign policy, so they just don't vote. And then the problem with the women is that they're just emotional beings, and so they're easier to deceive with emotions. And so whenever the Democrats come out and they make some statement about conservatives, like, oh, conservatives want to, kill your grandma or whatever it is, they kind of just believe it and then vote. So that's what you get there. All right. We're going to bring in DMT here. We're going to bring in DMT, get his takes on some of this. I was trying to find that old story from 2016, but Google search results are obviously rigged. But there was a headline in 2016. I think it was in the tab, Owen Schroyer, the golden boy of the right. I can't find it. So it's the golden age right here. Don't you know? Don't you know? All right, we got to tell you about one more sponsor before we sign off today. And you know, if you've been listening, how excited I am about this. Because I didn't even realize it. I've been filtering my water for a long time. But I was never really a water snob, per se. I just would only drink filtered water. But now I am a water snob. Now I feel like I'm in the future, and I can't even believe that I had been without this for so long. And that is the CovePure CP16 countertop reverse osmosis water purifier. And right now, when you go to CovePure.com/Owen, you can get $200 off. We are offering $200 off right now, the CovePure CP16 water filtration system. Now, let me just say something real quick, okay? Understand, this is a very serious machine. This machine is no joke, all right? So if you're thinking, I'm just ordering another water filter, no, this thing is a beast. This thing is a very serious piece of technology, probably the most advanced water filter on the internet. I can't find any others. This is the most advanced water filter I've ever seen, and that's why we brought them in. Now, normally, if you're a water snob and you're listening to this, you're thinking, reverse osmosis, that's not really the best way to get your water because it removes the good stuff. It changes the pH balance and it dealkalizes. The CovePure water filter, folks, realkalizes the water. So it goes through a 4-stage filtration. You can learn all about it at CovePure.com/Owen. Learn all about the filtration process. 4-stage, gets it all out. And then it realkalizes the water afterwards to get that pH balance back to where it needs to be to get the best water. Absolutely incredible. Absolutely incredible. And, obviously people think about water filters, and sometimes they think, is it really worth it? Is it really worth it to spend money and get a water filter? It's worth it because you want to be drinking good water. You don't want to be drinking water with all the toxic chemicals and everything else that's in it. So it's worth it for your health, but it's also worth it for the price. If you're going to be out there buying bottles of water, you're spending all the money on water anyway. Why not just get a water filter so you can cut off those costs? Plus, you don't know what's in those bottled waters. You don't know microplastics. Who knows what else? Know what's in your water. Know what's in your water. Get a water filter from CovePure CP16 right now. $200 off at covepure.com/Owen. For this audience, we have this offer for you. But this thing is so advanced. It can give you scalding hot water. It can give you ice cold water. It has a removable pitcher that it refills itself. Yes, I'm telling you, come into the future with me. Come into the future of water filtration with me. Go to covepure.com/Owen. Thank you to our friends at CovePure for sponsoring today's show. CovePure.com/Owen. All right. I'm going to shut the phone lines off, guys. Sorry to the callers we didn't get to. Thank you to the callers that got in. I want to go ahead and bring in DMT. It looks like DMT is ready to go. And, I've been wondering, too. Bring yourself into the studio whenever you want, Dominic. I've been wondering, too, because I've been calling him producer Dom and Dominic. I was like, what do I want to call him? I'm just going to call you DMT. And then the conspiracy theorists will start flying, too, about why I do that, even though it's just your initials. But I say let them fly. So I'm just going to start calling you DMT. Is that all right with you? Can I do that?
They've been calling me that for 30 years, my man. So we're good. We're good. Except the thing is I say that we're good, but we're actually anything but.
Well,
I'm pretty pissed off today. A lot of times I try to speak like I'm an intelligent, respectful human being, but I'm going to go ahead and let a couple deep balls fly because I'm fucking angry. And I'm sick of the right-wing media sphere running cover for what I think is a failing country right now. The stock market might be high. Maybe some donors are satisfied. Maybe Israel's satisfied. Maybe some multinational corporations and AI companies that the Trump administration has aligned with, maybe they're satisfied. But everyday working people, they're not fucking satisfied. And they look to these influencers to give them honest messaging. And they have the audacity to say it's a golden age. But what they don't tell you is it's a golden age because they're fucking pissing on you. And I am so tired of people acting like everything is fine. Because believe me, next election is going to be even worse. And for the people that act like they can gatekeep pivotal voices that are emerging in this movement, you're going to destroy the entire right wing on the way down with your censorious efforts.
I think Trump today, the body language that I saw, because look, at the end of the day, Trump has a big ego. And I think that, and I'm not even, to be honest, I'm kind of okay with that because I think with Trump's big ego, that's going to kind of create this balancing act where he wants to leave a legacy that people like him. And if he knows the legacy he's going to leave is going to be massively unpopular, then that might cause him to change his stances on some stuff. I saw a Trump today that was extremely, I don't even know the word I would use, upset, deflated, angry, whatever was going on. I think Trump took a major ego hit today. And I think Trump looks at this like this is his legacy going down the tubes. I think Trump looks at this whether he wants to say it was his fault or not. And I'm not even saying it was Trump's fault. Everybody can.
I'm not solely blaming him.
Everybody can take a role in all of this, right? Okay, we're analyzing this. We're looking at the full spectrum here. But to me, I think Trump looks at this as this might be an awakening moment even for President Trump to say, okay, holy shit. Because he's not getting good information. Who's ever Susie Wiles and the rest of them, Trump is not getting good information. He's not getting good information. He's not getting good advice. And I think this is the first time that the real world kind of hit him. And he was like, holy smokes, Republicans didn't win anything. We didn't win anything last night. We won nothing. We won nothing. We didn't win anything, Susie. You're telling me we won nothing? Zero.
While this is fresh in my mind, I don't mean to cut you off, but while this is fresh in my mind, people have been saying this excuse of he's been getting bad information. Other people around him are failing him. Look, when you're the quarterback, sometimes your coach sucks. You got to take the ball and you got to fucking improvise. This guy is not executing. I've had enough with he has no one around him. He's been president for 5 years. He should know what's going on. We got to take the training wheels off and start to actually treat this dude like he's not a god king. I like President Trump. I voted for him 3 times, but at a certain point, he's failing at his job. And this entire 2024 administration has been nothing but disappointing for, again, people that are just average people. If you're making anywhere from like $50,000 to even upwards of like $200,000, sometimes even $300,000, depending on where you live, if you have a family, people are having to legitimately go paycheck to paycheck, even when their previous or, their current salary was enough to have a comfortable life. So look, I mean, I understand that, a lot of people have their jobs or they have their identity tied up in things where they can't really criticize quite as hard as I just did. But no one is believing these lies anymore. And just to give people, a data reference on this, Donald Trump has had a 63-point decline in net approval from +8 to -55 on the most recent Economist YouGov poll. And I understand, sure, polls and fake news, people always like to give those excuses too, but go around and ask people. And that's for people under 30, by the way. But go around and ask people. Most of the people that I deal with are under the age of 35 years old, 40 years old. And almost all of them, unless they're rich as fuck or their job has to do with Republican politics and they have to be, favorable to the administration because they're essentially an access journalist, they're not saying anything positive. As a matter of fact, data came out today. The new average age of a first-time home buyer is now 40 years old, up from 31 in only 2021. This is unsustainable. And if this shit continues, you're going to see way more Zoran Mamdanis. But the problem is the establishment right wing is more concerned about censoring and basically gatekeeping new pivotal voices that are bringing these truths that people want to hear. They're more concerned about the right wing than they are about actual Zoran Mamdani. Notice they actually criticize Zoran Mamdani for the same reasons they criticize Nick Fuentes. They say it's Israel. They say, oh, he's an anti-Semite. This is a jihadist. The whole thing is cooked. The establishment right, the Zionist right is losing. They're flailing. And I think personally, and this is unpopular, but I think there's either going to be a false flag to justify some sort of censorship, or I think they're just going to straight up wave the white flag and censor you anyways and say, hey, fuck you. What are you going to do about it? We have the power, just like they took over TikTok.
Well, it's going to be interesting. Did you say first-time home buyers or just home buyers?
First-time home buyers. The average age for a first-time home buyer in the United States is 40 years old. Yeah. It was 31 in 2021. It was in the lower 20s years ago. I mean, the point is again, you're seeing a bunch of disenfranchised young men because what are people supposed to think when they don't have a future? That right now is the current country that we're living in. And I'm not saying it's all this way because of Donald Trump, but I'll tell you what else they don't criticize. A lot of the COVID measures, the vaccine itself, that was done under the Trump administration. All the money printing under the Trump administration. So yeah, Biden sucks. He's frail. The Democrats are crazy. All the whole woke ideology, the trans stuff. Of course I'm against that. But we have to hold people accountable. And I think you're seeing Trump is upset because he sees the numbers. He sees it's only the paid acolytes and the people that are in the Republican media sphere that are being super friendly. That's why they're so pissed. That's why Dinesh D'Souza and all these other people are flailing their fucking arms around and they don't even know how to defend this because they're losing in the actual exchange of ideas and they're losing fucking bad. We're running up the score. So what happens when you start doing that? They make a call under the ref, meaning that they're using their money, they're using their whole political apparatus to shape the narrative, and they're trying to cheat the game because they know if they just let it be fair, they're going to fucking lose really bad, and they're losing now.
All right. Speaking of running up the score, I think I got 10 F-bombs in the DMT rant today.
I gave you a warning before.
A warning?
I said it.
I'm gonna have to get like a dump button on you. No, we're not terrestrial here. We do try to be family friendly, but now people know when DMT comes on, the flamethrowers.
It's not every time.
The control mechanism on the flamethrower is it's very light. There's not much. It doesn't have much range.
Look, man, I mean, I'm just mad after this loss. I realize that a lot of these are, blue states or whatever else, but the showing was pathetic. And it's not so much about that. It's about the months leading up to this. People, if they were being honest, Zoran Mamdani won this fucking race 5 months ago. Like, I'm just so sick of the lies. And I will.
That's when I placed my bets. That's when I placed my bets that he was going to win. I placed him before the primary happened.
I've even some of that stuff. I mean, I think, with the new prediction market things, which they've been an accurate indicator of who's going to win. But I do think there's some future contradictions with that, because as we know, when there's money involved, like they wouldn't be fixing games in the NBA unless there was an exchange of money. And now the fact that, people are able to bet on some of these races. What about lower, smaller races or city hall races or things where only 10,000 people are voting? You can fix that pretty easily.
Yeah, I don't think we're quite there yet. That could be an issue in the future.
It's a future problem.
Yeah, I could see that. They did. The FBI is apparently investigating some fight fixing at UFC. Dana White actually came out and said that he was suspicious of a fight recently. He called the FBI immediately after the fight. So that's kind of an aside, but it looks like they're looking into some fight rigging too.
Do you want to cover some of this Heritage Foundation stuff?
Yeah, I wanted you to go a little deeper into that. We were talking earlier, and I know some of the surface level stuff, but I haven't gone as deep as you. I will say this before you go there, though. So, folks, think about this. Now, for people that have been listening to me for a while, specifically for the last couple of months, you may recall, and I was saying this when I was hosting the InfoWars War Room months ago. I talked about, and I know DMT feels the same way because we've talked about this, but I was talking about this on the InfoWars War Room a couple months ago, and I said that I'm now getting more value out of CNN and MSNBC than I am Fox News. And I was telling my audience, I was like, hey, I'm a right winger, I'm a conservative, but as far as getting value out of news consumption, there's almost no value left in Fox News. And even for me that doesn't like the hosts on these networks and I don't like their news presentation, even me, I admitted there is more value for me as just somebody consuming news. There is more value out of CNN and MSNBC today than there is for Fox News. Look at this from last night. Election night ratings. MSNBC tops primetime cable news coverage with 3 million viewers. They beat Fox News, who was just under 3 million at 2.8, MSNBC at 3 million, and CNN at 1.8 million. So, but think about that. CNN and MSNBC, 5 million viewers, Fox News just under 3. That's another sign, folks. That's another sign. And it's not as politically charged as you might think. It just shows people are sick of the right. They're just sick of it. It's sloppy. It's lazy. It doesn't move the needle anymore. There's no real action or results. It's empty. It's hollow now, folks. And don't think that those ratings from last night, normally Fox would beat both CNN and MSNBC, probably even combined. And the fact they didn't last night, that's another sign. The right wing is losing momentum fast, folks. This whole MAGA thing is falling like a rock.
Really quickly,
it's undeniable.
The reason that you're getting more value out of left-wing or independent left-leaning media is because of the fact that, again, I call it access journalism. All of the influencers and the people before that would actually give you raw takes, like things I try to do sometimes on Twitter just because I'm trying to be anti-establishment. You have 1,000 people. You can go to Benny Johnson or Nick Sordor or whoever you want if you want to get the constant Trump slop. But the reality of it is yes, just like the best example of this will be what they're doing with the Pentagon, which I understand there's a balance between, protecting national security and journalistic integrity and actually getting information out there that people deserve to know. But the fact that, the last person they brought on is Laura Loomer, they've got all the only organizations that were willing to sign the paperwork that the Pentagon is now requiring to be in the press corps. All of them are just overt right-wing organizations, so they're not going to question them. They're not going to hold them to the same standards that some of these adversarial outlets or the fake news would. So that's why now commonly you're hearing things, for me and you, of course, man, we're kind of in the circle. We hear about all the slop and all the pro-Trump news that, before many people even hear about it. But if you want to get critical information that's going against establishment, that's calling out the government, because again, no matter how much you like Donald Trump, he still leads the U.S. government, which I believe and I know is truthfully one of the most corrupt entities to ever exist in the history of humankind. So for people just to say, oh, my guy's in, I'm not going to hold them to account, it's bullshit. And I think that people, especially young people that consume digital media, they've had enough. And it's very clear. A lot of this messaging is being repudiated first by young people, and it's trickling up. I saw a poll the other day that people were most likely to be considered America first, non-interventionist, and all the other principles that includes. The most likely group is millennials, and actually more even than Gen Z. So I think that, again, you're seeing these people freak out. A lot of these establishment political conservative commentators, they're freaking because they know they're going to lose. So I think I'm pretty interested to see what's going to happen, how this is going to develop, because I really do expect some sort of censorship effort because they can't contain this and they can't win. So they have to cheat.
That's what's happening at the Heritage Foundation. By the way, Mark Levin has just basically challenged Nick Fuentes to a fight.
Oh, well, it's probably the 30th time this week. All right, so there's 5 minutes left. I'll try to quickly sort of summarize what's happening with the Heritage Foundation. For people that are not familiar with the Heritage Foundation, it's one of the most influential think tanks that writes Republican policy. They're the creators of Project 2025. They wrote highly criticized things like Project Esther, which many people believe to be somewhat of like a Patriot Act that limits people's personal liberties and freedoms, particularly having to do with anti-Semitism and Israel. But anyways, the president of the Heritage Foundation, Kevin Roberts, issued a statement last week talking about how Tucker Carlson is always going to be a friend of the organization. They basically defended the platform of Nick Fuentes. They said canceling Nick Fuentes is not going to work. They're correct. And that, the only way to beat him is from beating his ideas. Basically, a lot of the things that we agree with and talk about. But one thing he did is he referred to the critics and the detractors of Tucker Carlson. He referred to them as, what was it again? Give me 1 second. I got to get this one right.
And by the way,
referred to them as a venomous coalition, which people took as an anti-Semitic trope, all this other nonsense. Anyways, major backlash. The video gets tens of millions of views. It gets widely criticized by a lot of these establishment Zionist Republican outlets and commentators. Anyways, he gets pressured into making a statement at Hillsdale College yesterday. Basically, they start walking all these things back. There's actually an anti-Semitism task force in the Heritage Foundation. They gave them an email that was leaked, several different demands to Kevin Roberts, saying that if he doesn't do things like openly condemn Tucker Carlson, let young staffers and interns go to Shabbat dinners with Heritage Foundation members and donors to, sort of soften them or try to convince them to take on some of these pro-Israel views. They talked about hiring Gen Z influencers like Bryson Hollyhand or whatever the hell that stupid idiot's name is.
Oh, yeah, come on. He's a young kid.
They're doing, he's a propaganda agent. We can't give these people breaks anymore, dude. So I don't care how old you are. If you're fucking lying to people and you're deceiving people for political aims that are not in the best interest of Americans, you deserve to get called out. If you're a younger 18, I won't call you out, but you got it. Point is, a lot of this stuff with the Heritage Foundation, it's blowing up in their face. Now, there's just upheaval in the entire right-wing intelligentsia, and you're hearing it from all the commentators, and now you're seeing it from actual policymakers. So this whole America First ideology versus this establishment neoconservatism and all this Israel First bullshit that we constantly see on Twitter, it's not going to go away. And I don't know exactly what's going to happen, but I have a feeling these people will take down the entire Republican Party just to make sure that America First doesn't take over it. I even think some of them will shift to Democrats. I think some of them will even try to try their hand with moderate Democrats because maybe they'll feel that they can, sort of placate to them by saying, hey, we're being, treated with racism, or we're being treated with, so they're going to go woke. Like you've already seen it go woke. They may go woke all the way because their primary, motive is safety.
They're fighting Nazis now. They're fighting
everyone's a Nazi now.
They're fighting the invisible Nazis with the woke left now. So yeah, it's only inevitable that the woke left and the woke right team up to fight all the invisible Nazis that are running around. So
I'm talking about, by the way, this is like a long-term thing. Like this is maybe 10, 15 years down. They're not just going to turn Democrats tomorrow, but I totally could see that. The more that, the America First ideology takes over and people trickle into institutions and, they gain power, I don't see them, they have two choices. They can either change parties or they can censor people or they can lose.
Here's what I think happens next. And I've been watching the news. I haven't seen anything develop. I saw Trump came out, make some statements. We saw kind of the Trump response attitude earlier today. Here's what I think is going to happen now. The whole thing has just come crashing down, and Trump knows it. He knows it. He knows the tea leaves. He sees the midterms are cooked. He sees that MAGA is dropping like a rock. Now, he may not understand why. He might still not get that it's teaming up with the never Trumpers like Mark Levin, and it's the bad foreign policy and everything else. I don't know if he gets that or not, but definitely after last night and today, you can see it finally hit him. It finally hit him. He's finally realizing, okay. And if that's an ego thing because of his legacy or what, I don't know. But you finally, it hit him today. It caught up with him finally today, I think, for the first time.
I do want to just quickly add.
I think that he's going to pressure now. He's going to apply as much pressure as he can to Republicans. It could get nasty because I don't think they want to end the filibuster, and they shouldn't. We shouldn't end the filibuster. But I think now Trump's going to come out and he's going to go on the warpath. And if you don't help Trump end the filibuster, then he's going to try to destroy you politically. And now the right-wing infighting is going to reach even the highest levels of the Republican Party. And Trump is thinking the only way I can get my agenda done is if I end the filibuster, even though that's not popular. And most people on the right will say we can't do that because the left will abuse it too. So there's going to be all kinds of talk around that. I haven't seen anything about that in the news today. I anticipate that's going to be the next big move from the administration is, hey, we have to drop the filibuster because now we're cooked politically. We're not going to win any more elections. So if we don't drop the filibuster, we won't be able to get anything done. That's where I think this goes next.
I did see that a top advisor to Trump made a statement today saying that Trump's primary focus for the second year for 2026 is going to be affordability. And it's just like he feels it. But the thing is, man, young people are very opinionated. They're very online. I just don't know if he has the clout or if he even has the desire to really even, he already won. So, and I'm not too sure, Trump loves himself, which can be really good in some instances because he's very prideful many times when he's trying to, represent America in certain negotiations, ones usually that aren't with Israel, in my opinion. But yeah, man, this whole thing, I just think it's cooked. I think the whole movement is irreparably broken. And I think that unless people try to make some space for some of these America First personalities and supporters, you can either lose forever or you can welcome us. That's basically what the deal is.
Well,
there is no right wing without the America First younger people.
I agree that the numbers aren't on their side. On a raw numbers game, I agree with you. But I would say I don't even look at it. This isn't about, let me in. And that's just a me thing. I don't really, if you don't want me in your party, if you don't want to invite me to your party, if you don't want me, I don't care. I'm not coming. Fine. It's no big deal. But they don't have the numbers. None of that matters to me. What matters to me is the policies. And if you're not going to have good policies, and if you're not going to go against the lowest approval rating policy right now is our Middle East policy, is our foreign policy. And it's like, if you're not at least going to drop the low approval foreign policy because it's what the donors want, if you're still going to let the donors force you into the lowest approval foreign policy that we have, then you're just not interested. You're admitting that the donors control you, and you're not interested in actually bringing Americans back to the table. So that's going to be the ultimate thing. The numbers aren't on their side. They just learned that last night. Whatever, they can accept it or not. I don't really care if they want to, let people back in the party or not. I don't really care about that. If you're not going to have better policy, if you're not going to get economic results for the American people, then you're not going to win elections, and you're not going to have the numbers if you decide to play this gatekeeping purity game and tell people on the right to go F themselves if they don't support Israel. So that's how this is going to go. And if the Republicans want to continue to lose elections, then they'll continue to go down this path. But the Israeli lobbyists don't care. They don't care if Republicans lose elections. Republicans can never win another election ever as long as they still get Israel prioritized, which the Democrats will do too. For now, then they don't care. They don't care who wins or loses as long as Israel gets prioritized first.
I'll leave people with this. Things have changed very quickly in the last couple of years. A lot of times, I know you know this, but people, because of some of my criticisms, when you were in prison, I posted from your account something like United States of Israel, this is ridiculous. And I had people message me saying, hey, you shouldn't do this. And I go, no, I know my boy. I know when he knows what's going on, he's going to not have a problem with this. And no, just the narrative and, people being emboldened to bring some of these, some of these inconvenient truths to people's ears. People the whole world has changed a lot. Honestly, October 7th really did change a lot of things. And yeah, we're sorry for the people that died and everything, of course, but the way that it's changed discourse, it has definitely put a focus on a lot of Israel critical narratives. So I just want to say, for people that truly don't think that things can change, which many times, I'm guilty of being pretty black-pilled and sort of spreading a little bit of a black-pilled message, but I wouldn't want to be doing this stuff. I wouldn't want to be involved in politics at all, working with you, all these things, if I didn't think eventually things could change. And I think the fact that people have changed so quickly, especially with this non-interventionist America First ideology growing in popularity and growing in influence, who knows where we're going to be in 2 years, 5 years, 10 years. And my point of view is that if you're truly a pro-Israel shill as a right-winger running for president of the United States in 2028, there's 0% chance that you'll win. And you're probably going to lose the House and the Senate too. That's the direction where it's going. So do I think that, there can still be an amicable relationship? Do I think that U.S. politicians are likely still going to work very closely with Israel, no matter what they say publicly or no matter what we want? Yes. But they can at least stop throwing it in your face with 4 visits for Netanyahu. And what was it? Trump, then J.D. Vance, then Rubio. And right now, as we speak, Tulsi Gabbard is in Israel right now, or she just returned. This type of slap, that's a slap in the face to people. And I think the treatment and the relationship with Israel will definitely change and probably eventually be, almost non-existent. Because at a certain point, them continuing to take aid and then continuing to prance around their relationship with the United States, it's actually working to their detriment because they become a pariah that people don't like. And many of the reasons are because of those.
I agree. Well, I would say that there is time for Republicans to change course ahead of the midterms. They can change course. I don't think they will. The administration and the Republicans, if they want to win the midterms, they have to change course immediately. I kind of don't think they will, but they still could, and they could save the midterms. I would say, though, for the vision that we have, for the vision that MAGA had, for the vision that America First has, America Only has, for the vision of American patriots, really, I think now, unfortunately, we're probably still 4 years away from getting a chance to realize that. We thought we were going to get it with Trump. We're just not, folks. Now, we still can. Like I said, they can still change course. And, Trump's still in the first quarter here of a 4-quarter game. But the vision that we thought we had with MAGA, it ain't there. It's just not. That's just the fact. I know it hurts. I know it sucks. We put a lot into it, but you got to be realist. So it looks like now we're probably 4 years away from getting another shot, I think, to actually see that vision. All right, DMT, good to have you pop in today. Thank you for stopping by. Boy, we nailed it, though. Man, we nailed it. We nailed last night's elections like you couldn't believe. We played the clip. I predicted it exactly to a T. I even said Mamdani 51%. That's what he got. And then we predicted the crash out, the Democrat sweep, and everything else. All right. Well, here's what we're going to anticipate for tomorrow. We're supposed to be getting a Supreme Court result Friday, a decision. We're going to talk about the Supreme Court a lot tomorrow. I think you're going to hear a lot about the shutdown in the next 24 hours as things start to get real. But man, either the Republicans come out and make a strong change of course, a very vocal and strong change of course, or it's not going to be good. And then you deal with a situation where you're kind of entering lame duck territory, folks. You're kind of entering lame duck territory. And I don't know what that looks like with this administration, but it could get bad. And if they figure, it doesn't even matter what we do anymore. Once the approval ratings hit a certain number, it doesn't even matter what we do anymore, and they become that lame duck phase, we could have some problems. We could have some problems. But, hey, everyone's a panicking now. Everyone's a panicking now. It's funny how that works, isn't it? Real funny how that works at the end of the day. All right. That was a fiery show. Fiery transmission today. We'll take a 21-hour break. We'll do it all again tomorrow. Same time, same channel. God bless. Godspeed.